ターですが、あちらにございます。階段のすぐそばです。
すみません。もう一度ゆっくりお願いします。
にございます。階段のすぐそばです。
すみません。もう一度ゆっくりお願いします。エレベーターはどちらでしょうか？
Hello there. All right, we're gonna see if this stream stays stable. There's some people working in the back alley with what sounds to be a backhoe, and that is the worst enemy of a fiber optic internet connection. So we may see drops, and this might be one of those accidentally short streams where things just fall off. But while it's going, we're going to try as best as we can to see what happens. So also, I hope everybody is doing well today. 1 second, I'm gonna... There we go. I hope everybody's doing well. I watched Project Hail Mary a few days ago. Good film. I don't know why I didn't realize that there was a film on it. If I'm not mistaken, that is a novel by Andy Weir, I want to say. And I knew about it as a novel, but I don't remember. I guess I didn't remember. I guess I didn't know that was a Oh, it is. Oh, okay. So, it's, yeah. Oh, the film only just came out. Okay, that makes sense. Because I'm saying, I think the book's been around a minute. Not a long time. Well, I guess actually, yeah, kind of. It came out. Well, I'll say a long time. It's relative. I want to say the book came out like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, something like that. It seems like it did. And that was pretty. That was pretty cool. Andy Weir is one of those authors who does a really good job of. It makes a really good and compelling story, because I think now I know about The Martian, right? I know about that. I've not seen it, but I know about that movie, which I believe was Matt Damon, and everybody seemed to really like that. And that was also an Andy Weir novel. So, guy just knows how to write. There are a lot of authors, I think, that kind of get overshadowed. Like everybody, I think everybody knows. I feel like everybody knows. Obviously, your J.R.R. Tolkien and your C.S. Lewis and your what was the lady that wrote Harry Potter? I can't think of her name right now. I can't think of her name right now, which is a shame. Which, to be fair, I've not read Harry Potter. I have the books. I've not read them yet. I will read them at some point, because I almost always find that the books are better than the movie, and I have only seen some of the movies, and so it's like, but I can't. Anyway, her. Dune Part 3 had its first trailer. Looks great. Can't wait. I think it's good that they decided. J.K. Rowling. There we go. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Rowling, however that's properly said. Her. I think right now everybody is. Sarah J. Maas has become a big name, and Brandon Sanderson. I've not read either of their stuff either yet. My sister recommended to me. She said, you need to read this book by Sarah J. Maas. And I said, I'm not big into the like spicy romantic, that kind of stuff. If I read a Song of Ice and Fire and it happens to have something like that, but it's not the main point, then that's fine. But yeah. J.K. Rowling, aka the devil, apparently. I don't know. I know there was some controversy with her on some stuff. I want to say, if I remember, and again loosely, I want to say it was like she apparently had opinions on something trans related, I think, but I don't know a ton about it. I mean, I have opinions on that myself, but I'm not familiar with her opinion, so I can't I can't give you an opinion on her opinion unless I know her opinion, right? So I like Brandon Sanderson. Welcome in, Maki Surprise. I like Brandon Sanderson stuff. I've heard Brandon Sanderson stuff is pretty good. I've heard it's decent up until the later books. I've heard it's good up until the later books. Let's put it that way, which I think is nice. I've not read any of it. I've heard he's really good. I've not read any of his stuff. For me, it's very... I've still got so much to catch up on that's already, been out and about, basically. That's kind of my thinking on it. So for me, it's like I'm kind of still catching up on a lot of that I, maybe I missed back in the... back in the 90s or the early 2000s, or heck, some of the stuff that I may have missed from like the 60s and stuff. Of course, Dune is not one of those. Dune's been out for a long time, so that's kind of interesting. Again, the books at least have been out for a long time. Movies have not, but Frank Herbert and his son, who's been writing them ever since after the first 5 or something. And then there were other good books that came out too in the earlier 2000s that I think get overlooked. Susanna Clarke wrote one called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which I think is really good. I wish I had more time for books. I just don't enjoy it as much as my other hobbies. There we go. See if that'll adjust it. I wish I had more time for books. I just don't enjoy it as much as my other hobbies. I love books, though. Yeah, I mean, books are harder to enjoy for people nowadays because attention spans are shorter. And I'm not saying this is your problem, but this is a big problem. Attention spans are shorter, and so and imaginations are dulled because you have AI, you have other people who are using whatever to make anything visual. And so when you, for example, I almost will never watch a movie before I read the book. And the reason that is because I want to blank canvas imagine what everything looks like and what everything sounds like and what everything, and then I can push that up against or juxtapose that against whomever they get to actually fulfill it inside of a movie. Whereas if I go in and I see the movie first, I have my expectations when I read the book colored by what they did in the movie. And I don't want that because then that narrows my field of imagination. That says, okay, well, this is what this character looks like. That's what your character here is going to be. Like Harry Potter's going to be whatever the actor that they cast was. I had seen those first by happenstance because they were a children's novel, and so I didn't read them when I was young. I was older when they came out anyway, but my point is that's kind of the only exception. But in most cases it's I know when I go back and I read these, it's going to be whichever that actor is. I'm going to probably imagine that actor in the position, and I'm kind of I kind of kick myself for that. If I can help it, I'll try not to do that. It's crazy when you read Dune and realize just how much it's influenced everything after. Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's a lot of commentary. There's a lot of social commentary. There's a lot, I mean, it is a fictitious world. It is science fiction, but it's also social commentary. There's a lot of anti-hedonism, and there's a lot of kind of the showings of the strippings away, you know, even with the trappings of power, be what they will. It very much in the same way that Mad Max did. There's this kind of showing that even the most decorated are these kind of depraved, ostentatious and in what I would consider to be blatantly unappealing regalia, let's call it. Being a commentary on just this kind of not being appellate to anyone, but then not setting it. Anyway, there's a lot to it. It's my point. But I'll admit, as much as I love doing it, really, it mainly comes from Denis Villeneuve. I don't know how you Nueve. I don't know how you properly say his last name, and his interpretation of it. I think that's one of the reasons that people often think books are better than the adaptations, because they have perfect interpretation in their head, and it's never met. And I would actually argue it's not why people think that books are often better. It is why books are better. Because let me explain. If you and I go to a cinema and we watch the movie, there may be little things here and there that we quibble about, in terms of the casting, or in terms of the acting, or in terms of the way that, certain things were said, lines were read, whatever. But ultimately, the big picture of it is not going to be up for much interpretation. There are things we can look into in the meanings. Like if you're reading something or if you're watching something that's very avant-garde, like The Fountain, that's going to be a little bit more up for interpretation, right? What does it mean when he eats the bark of the tree? What does it mean when he I wouldn't say they're objectively better. I can't tell you that I can't tell you that they are objectively better for you. I can say that what books does have some science to support that it is better for the brain more frequently than cinema is. It's not. I'm not going to tell you that it's that you're a bad person or you're less. None of that. But there is science that shows the benefits that you get from books as they have a tendency to stimulate the brain in a way that is different than cinema. So I'm not telling you what you should enjoy more or less. I am saying, in terms of stimulus, in terms of development, that's what I guess that's what I'm trying to be appellate towards. I feel like it depends on the series. It can. But a lot of times when it's avant-garde, for example, again, The Fountain, what does it mean when he drinks the sap of the tree? What does it mean when he eats the bark? What does it mean when he's the conquistador? This is very avant-garde. There's a lot of interpretation, right? So there is a lot to be discussed about. But then when you go into something like even Dune, which has some major socio-political themes that they kind of put on there, your interpretation of the meanings that are not overtly stated but are shown, there's room for discussion there. But the world is established and in front of you. The picture is what the picture is. The actor is what the actor is, or who the actor is. And when you don't have to create that in your mind, there's a part of your there's a part of your mind that it's not atrophied, but it's in disuse, because you're in the cinema. The artist's job, the director's job, the actor's job is to create an involuntary suspension of disbelief. It's not to invite you into your world. It's to show you into theirs. It's to have you drop everything and invest in their world, their vision, the way they see it. When you read a book, your world is what you're generating. The colors, the accents, the voices, the way that they speak, the cadences, the way that a name might be pronounced, the motivations, unless overtly stated. Those, even though there is a writing in there of the book, it's not something that you can see. And there aren't very many books that are really great at doing that, right? Because when you have visual information, like looking at Dune and seeing the orange sands of Arrakis and that's how you envision it. But when it gets this, when you hear about the desert of, or you hear, and they're not going in, and Frank's not going into hyper detail about how it looks, he's just kind of giving you these loose references. And that loose reference is going to make you refer to your memory on it, not look it up necessarily, because you couldn't when this book came out. It's going to have you go back to a memory you have of what you believe to be what it looked like, or the last memory of a memory of a memory of the last picture you saw of it. You now have to reconstruct the visual nature of it to fit you in ways, and ways that kind of stimulate the brain in that way. You have to more deeply, in a lot of ways, you have to more deeply buy into and understand the motivations of the antagonist or the protagonist, right? Because it's not being presented to you in the same way. There's a visual way where tonality also plays a big part in it. If somebody comes up and gives you a great motivation and a poor tone, you're more likely going to take that as a negative if you don't like the tone, even if the motivation is completely pure. And tonality plays a lot into that. But if it's on the page, you interpret the tone, therefore you interpret the opinion you have on that character, on that character's motivations. There's a lot that goes into having a completely non-visual interpretation of something, wherein you have to create everything. You have non-audio visual. You have to create the tone, the cadence, the character, the pronunciation, the accent, the world. And now your brain is doing all types of things. It's remembering, it's opining, it's developing, it's creating, it's destroying, it's remembering. And these are just to read a book. This is just jumping in. And it's something that audiobooks, there was a study that came out again that showed that audiobooks don't even do this, which audiobooks kind of meet you halfway. They don't give you you can't see what's going on, you hear it. But there's even a study that showed the stopping power, so to speak, of reading an actual paper page-turning book versus an audiobook, and the benefits kind of in stair-step fashion. So I think that movies obviously are great forms of entertainment. They're definitely forms of art. But I think that overall, if we're looking to develop and we're looking to buy more deeply into a lot of these things, I think that books are a super, super, super underrated and underused, utilized form of art. I think that I think the other part of that is because I do think that there are I think that a movie holds an attention span for less time than a book generally does also. Even if it's a 3-hour long movie, you're not likely finishing a 400 or 500 page book in the span of 3 hours, right? So it's an investment. And I think that that's a good thing. I think the more time you can spend in those worlds developing and stretching your brain, your imagination, I think the better. I think the better. I think it's good to live in those worlds. I think it's easier to live in those worlds. When the movie's over, the credits roll, you're not in that world anymore. Whereas every time you pick up the book and you're going through that book, you get you're back, and you're likely going to be going back to that book for a while more frequently than you are the movie. I don't know. There's a lot to, and not as much work is done for you. So again, I'm not saying there's nothing pejorative or derogatory towards people who enjoy movies over books. They're both great forms of art, but I think books do well. I don't think books. There's evidence that books do more for us. And I think that what we are losing today are things that books actually can help remedy. If more people read, I think that we can start regaining attention span and regaining imaginations and regaining the ability to live outside of, the ability to live inside of our minds more frequently than than just, an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever. But for, maybe an hour, even a day, to be able to live inside and create these worlds, I've talked about it before. I think that one of the things that we're losing really rapidly is the ability to tell stories. Not watch movies. Watch movies. People can tell stories, but we ourselves have become poor storytellers because our imaginations are stunted, because we're constantly watching other people's visions and not developing our own in a lot of regards. And I think reading books help us kind of develop that skill unbeknownst to us, because while we are realizing a dream or a vision based upon what somebody else has written on the book, we are still pulling from our mind almost in its entirety what it is that we need to build this world of ours. And so I think I'm a very big advocate for books. I get it, and I'm not saying anybody who doesn't read books or doesn't want that as a hobby is lesser than. It's nothing like that. But just to put out there on this platform, one of the biggest things that I think we are missing, or some of the biggest things I think we are missing, I think are remedied by being able to spend the time inside of a book. That's what I'm getting at. But I mean, obviously, if you're an avid cinephile, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And if you're an avid, it's just same way as if you're an avid, you love music with lyrics. I'm not keen on that as much. I do have some, but but there's no shame on it. I think that there are things that we are discarding that help us regain things that we're losing, kind of en masse. Speaking of series, why won't WB give me the keys to the Mortal Kombat kingdom so I can finally make a new Mortal Kombat show? I wish they would. I really do, because you have so much. I mean, speaking of someone who's imagined a bunch of stuff out for this, or would be able to, it is, again, it's not just the watchings of the shows and the movies and the video games. You've done a fair amount, my understanding, our conversations, you actually have done a fair amount of reading on backstories and lore and things of that nature, which I think is pretty great. And again, talking about stimulating the imagination in a great way. That'd be, I mean, honestly, I would, if they'd give it to you to write, I'd read it, I'd watch it. Another thing that would help books would be if there weren't so many awful books that do well. Some of these authors are absolutely diabolical, yet their books. Yeah, but the beautiful thing about that is I don't think that's true. I agree with you, but I don't also think it's true. I don't think a New York Times bestseller is the same as I don't think so. This is my personal opinion. I don't think that a New York Times bestseller, and this is where movies are better, is the same as a box office hit. A box office hit is somebody who bought the ticket and is sitting in the seat most likely for the entirety of the runtime. Whereas a New York Times bestseller is just a bunch of people heard that it was a good book, they bought the book, and then they never did anything with it. The thing that is that people will consume regardless. People will buy what they're told to buy, but they won't do anything with it. So it's and I think books are different in a lot of ways than video games and other forms of media in that firstly, they're not as expensive usually as their counterparts. Number two, I swear every book says the New York Times bestseller. Yeah, exactly. So think about this. Remember, if everything is, then nothing can be, right? If everything is good, then nothing can really be good. If everything is bad, then nothing can really be bad, because what you've done in everything becoming that is establish a new baseline, right? So if everything is a New York Times bestseller, then that is now the normal. That's not an accolade of achievement. That's just the baseline. Every book that comes out is going to probably be a New York Times bestseller somewhere. Just ignore that and move on, right? And that's where I am with a lot of it. I think people have referred to this as the syndrome theory based off of the villain syndrome from The Incredibles. If everything is if everyone is super, then no one will be. That's true. That is very much true. If everybody is a good driver, then good driving is now the median, and now you have a higher level and lower level of that new baseline, right? So, I think in the case of a book, forget New York Times bestseller. That's just expected at this point. That's just a given. Go and do what you think is interesting, and here's where that comes, right? Number one, books are cheaper, and so your risk is lower. There are all types of bookshops, online, offline. I use Abe Books. I use there's a store in one of the big towns around here. It's a used bookshop. There's another one called Second and Charles. They do both new and used. Obviously, there are Barnes and Noble, which are going to be on the higher end of expense. There are going to be a lot of different books, and your risk is lower. An expensive book is usually $30-$40, and that's if it's ornate, leather-bound, gold leaf. Your average book, paperback, is going to run you about maybe $10-$15 US, right? So your risk is lower. Number two, you have a blurb. The objective, they're not going to catch you just with the cover, and a video game kind of gets to do that. The back of the game is going to tell you like a very short blurb. Inside of a book, most of the time the entire back is dedicated to telling you what it's about. Or if it's a hardcover and you're going to spend that extra money, the insides of the dust jacket, both back and front, are likely going to tell you something about that author and other books they've written that you may or may not have liked, or they're going to spend time trying to wrap you into the story quickly. So the books try a lot harder, in my opinion, to wrap you in than other things, because they don't have the benefit of that visual or audio or audible advert that you kind of get with cinematic or game or whatever. I don't know. Book shopping is fun. I really love book shopping for that exact reason. Is I just go in and I'm like, and I go to there are stores here in the United States called Goodwill. I don't know if those are everywhere. I do know they're in the United States. Goodwill. Now, whether you agree with Goodwill or don't agree with Goodwill, they sell books for about 50 cents for soft covers, and I think it's $1. No, I think it's $1 now for soft covers, and I think it's $2 for hardcovers. And I just recently went and picked up The Lucifer Effect, which is something I had read on and was super excited about when I saw finally a nice hardcover copy. I think I spent $2 there. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, which is great if you've not read it. It's making a societal stance, political stance. So if you don't agree with her, then that's fine. But that was $2, I think. And then I found the book that my sister had recommended to me for 99 cents, So I'm able to pick up the O.J. Simpson book, right? The If I Did It, where he wrote a book about basically, even though he was acquitted, well, if I had done it, this is how I would do it. I think I picked that one up for like 50 cents. So it's just like, there's so many great things, and my risk is super low. If I don't like the book, I spent 50 cents, no problem. I'll donate it to somebody else, or I'll get my 50 cents back. I don't care about that. So I really do. I heavily encourage finding a book that you're interested in. Forget what everybody else says. Go look at the cover, read the blurb, and if you like it, pick the book up for $1 and just give it a shot. Give it a shot. You don't need to give it a ton of time. Give it 20 minutes a day. Just read, or 10 pages a day. 10 pages a day. 20 minutes a day. Whatever you need, right? I don't know. I love books. I have a bookshelf behind me of books that are my favorites. And I picked up the new Strahd book. It's a D&D book, Curse of Strahd or Heir of Strahd. Picked up a new Strahd book. I'd read the old P and Elrod ones, which I thought were awesome. This one's a little bit more, teeny reader, which I didn't expect, but, it's okay. Not my favorite, but my risk on it again was low, so I don't really care. It's not like a game, right, where if I don't like Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm out of $80. Which of course I'm not interested in GTA 6 all that much personally. I'll buy it when it goes down. Somebody buys it and sells it back, and I buy it secondhand for like $20 or something maybe. But I'm not a huge GTA guy. But my point is, my risk is high with those. If I don't like GTA 6, I'm out $80. If I don't like this book, I'm out, $15 on the high end. Unless I bought like this really big ornate one. But I'm not usually going to do that unless I know I'm going to like the book. In which case, yeah, that'll cost me like $35, $40. Believe me, everyone is not... No. I know that. It's a reference to... There was a point where I think they kind of did a man on the street or woman on the street. I don't remember who, but... And they asked how many people thought they were a good driver. And out of a group of 100 people, I think... And I'm just giving... These are make-believe numbers, but they fall in the gist of it. I think out of like 100 of them, I think it's like 80, 85 of those people said, yeah, I'm a good driver. What that did was then move the baseline for good driver to the average, right? And then you had, 15%. And it also was an example of the Dunning-Kruger effect, because a lot of times with Dunning-Kruger, you're going to have a bunch of people that are going to tell you, oh, I'm great, and they're going to not be able to deliver to the level that they position. But no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I would say most people are not fantastic drivers, especially nowadays when they're on their phones half the time. I'm an okay driver. I'm not a distracted driver, so I would argue that I'm better than a person who is a distracted driver. But as far as non-distracted drivers go, I think I'm probably average. I've never been in a car accident, so I've never been the driver in a car accident. Let's be clear on that, which I think is pretty good. Never gotten a speeding ticket. So I'm gonna say I'm doing all right, but average is probably fine. I would lose it if I got to make a Mortal Kombat show, man. It's not even from a big fan perspective. I would take it so seriously. The job that is my adaptation would actually have serious elements and cheese. Oh, I know. I love that. I agree. I mean, I would love, even if you take, the thing about it is I think a lot of people don't want to take the fandom to it. They don't want to take their fandom to it. It's like, but I think that's part of what like when you hear I think when you hear a lot of people that come in and they're like, I've never read the books, or I've never read the comic books, or I've never played the games. They do a fine job, but when you have somebody in there who's like, oh man, yeah, I know everything about the games, I think that makes it better. Like, I think that's why Marvel movies for a good long while did better than DC movies, is because you had a Stan Lee involved, and Stan Lee, lived and breathed, ate and slept on his creations. He knew what Spider-Man was as a concept as much as he knew who Spider-Man was as a person. And so when you get him on as a consultant or Avia Red or whatever, and they start making them, yeah, there's a little bit of cheese, but you can't, I mean, go back and watch the old Spider-Man movies from the early 2000s, right? Like, yeah, they've got some cheese to them, but man, they are still so much fun to watch. I think BioShock was heavily influenced. Oh, absolutely, and BioShock is great. If I Did It, yeah. So If I Did It was what he called the book, but one of the victims, the families of one of the victims, the man victim, I cannot remember the name of him right now, but the family was given the rights to all profit of that book, because even though Simpson wasn't found guilty for the murder, he was found financially liable for certain things, and so one of those assets that was allowed to be compensation was his book and the profits and proceeds from that book. And so what they did, which I think is kind of clever, is they believe, regardless of the fact that he was acquitted, that he was guilty. They believe that. Right now, legally speaking, he was acquitted. So I can't say he did do it. But, I mean, I could say it, but it doesn't, he was acquitted, right? But the point is, they actually took the "if" on the front cover and they made it tiny, and they put it inside of the I, the letter I on I Did It. And then on the spine, I Did It is in bold black. The book in softback is white on the spine. It's got like a bloody shoe print, but it's white on the spine, and the words I Did It are in bold black. The word "if" is still there. It's the same size as the others, but it's in like a pale pink. So you have to really look close to find the ifs. The book looks like it's called I Did It, but it is technically still called If I Did It. I've been reading Don Quixote slowly. Interesting to see the more classic things. Oh yeah, absolutely. And other classics. I think. I mean, Don Quixote is great too, but The Picture of Dorian Gray is another great example of one that we have completely different lenses on. That back then, the author was killed for writing something like this, being considered evidence of something that isn't evil, but back then was considered a terminable offense. In life terminable, not you're going to get fired, but you're going to get killed. And then now here we go and we look at that and we're like, wow, this is a beautiful book. Oh, what happened to the author? Oh, he was killed because just anyway. I hate the latest Mortal Kombat film, and Part 2 looks terrible. Can't stand the direction and portrayals of 90% of the characters. What's sad to say is they do really well, which means sequels for eternity. Oh man, are you kidding me? The new one looks great. Looks fantastic. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm just being silly. I hadn't paid any attention to it. Heard the Halo show they made was a bit ago was like that. Remember the makers saying they didn't play Halo or care. See, and that's the problem is if you're going to create a unique property, if you're going, like, for example, if I'm going to make a game that has nothing to do with anything that's ever existed before, it's strictly my interpretation on something, then I think that's fine, right? But if I'm going to make a Halo show that has a fan base based, so let's take it back all the way back to the very beginning where it was originally going to be Marathon, and the Marathon branched off, became something else, then Bungie made this. Halo becomes this huge hit. Multiple Halo sequels are made, and they are mostly huge hits. 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all big hits. And Reach. In addition to that, there are novels, there are comic books, there are visual encyclopedias to deepen the lore. And people are buying these. People are interested. My brother is very interested in the lore and the books as much so as the games. He and I played a ton of the games. We still play the games, right? We've played the games on the channel in verses with a couple of friends of ours. We've been playing the games since they came out, 5 years ago. Okay? We've been playing these games since they came out, 24, 25 years ago, something like that, right? And so when you have somebody come up and say, well, I don't really care about this. Okay, if you don't really care about it, why should I? You're not interested. You're getting a paycheck for this and you don't really care about it. Why should I care about this? Right? Instead, what I would be doing is I'd be going back and trying to develop. Let's assume I didn't know anything about it. I want to make a show. They say, hey, you go make a show. First thing I'm going to go do is I'm going to go watch all of it. I'm going to go start playing the games. I'm going to go get some friends to play the games. People that are involved. I'm going to get them to play with me. I'm going to read the books. I'm going to get my hands on. I'm going to go talk to the fans. What do you love about it? What should I? And I'm just going to get. It's research. Just complete research. Just bury myself into that, because what happens when you're going to make something like that is the people are going to tell you what they love about it, and a lot of times with fans, especially fans that aren't dogmatic, is they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do to make it appeal to them. They're going to tell you exactly what they're going to spend their money on. So you, as a business person, now know what you need to do to earn the money. You know what you need to do to further the story, right? You've got some stake in the game, so to speak. But you also are going to have people who are going to share a genuine love of it, and you might also develop a genuine love of it, which ideally you should. And then from there, you're going to be able to make something that's going to be faithful and fun, and but a lot of times they don't. A lot of times that's what you hear is, oh, I don't care. My job is to make movies. I don't care. I'm not interested in this. Okay. Well, if you're not interested in it, then why should I be interested in it either? Even as a fan, right? Why should I be interested in it? You're not interested in it. It's not something that could capture your attention. Oh, I'm not a fan of video games. Okay, so why should I be a fan of this? You weren't willing to put the effort into making sure that you enjoyed what I like. Why is this going to be something that appeals to me? Did you hear about the Green Lantern show? I didn't. I haven't heard about a Green Lantern show. Are they making a series or? Yeah, I don't know I don't think I have heard about it. They took green away from it because it's dumb. Oh, okay, hold on, wait a minute. But isn't... Now, I could be wrong, right? But isn't... Isn't green like a big part of it? Because aren't the colors, now I could be mistaken on this, but aren't the colors incredibly important because there are different lantern cores and the colors indicate from what emotion or what way they draw their power? Like, isn't Sinestro a part of a yellow lantern core? And so knowing that there's a green is probably indicative of there being another color? Green would be dumb. I would agree with you if green would be dumb if it didn't play into the power. Sure, I'd agree with you there. But I'm pretty darn sure that the color is indicative of the... It'd be like saying, we're just going to call this military because naming the branches are dumb. And it's like, well, yeah, but Marine does something different from Navy, does something different from Army, does something different from Coast Guard, does something different from Air Force. Right? Nah, let's just call it military. Okay. Which one goes in the sky? Oh, well, the military. Oh, okay, I see. A little dumb, right? That's a direct quote, by the way. The showrunners say, that's stupid, so we call it lanterns. Okay. So, Batman's stupid, so we're just gonna call it... I was joking. Yikes, yeah. So the Batman show is gonna be stupid. We're just gonna call it Man. Because the Bat part's stupid. Because obviously Batman, that's just stupid. No, Bat's kind of the whole thing, right? The fact that he is a man is kind of normal. The Bat part's kind of what makes it interesting. What a bunch of nonsense. I mean, that kind of does summarize what I think a lot of them are. It's again, there's a big non-understanding of these different mediums. It's like, okay, I don't know. Let's just take mortal out of combat, right? Because everybody can die, so let's just call it combat, right? It's not Mortal Kombat, because any combat can lead to death, so the mortal's kind of vestigial. Let's just say combat. We'll spell it with a K still, because that's smart. Good marketing. Yeah. Hey guys, I'm adapting Star Wars, but the Force stuff is goofy, so let's go. No, forget that. Just call it Wars. The star doesn't make any sense, right? Just call it Wars. Right? Again, because Lanterns isn't going to get rid of the powers. It's going to get rid of the context of the powers. Because I believe Green Lanterns, I think, pull from willpower, if I remember correctly. And I think the Yellow Lanterns pull from fear. And I think later on they ended up adding a whole bunch of, like, white and black and purple and orange and red. Or they had red, I think. A red was, like, anger, right? So the color was actually indicative of from where they pulled the powers and how likely those powers were going to get used, right? So the powers are still there. It's just we don't know which ones are which. So now it's the same thing with Star Wars. We still got the powers, but we're just going to call it Wars. Could be World War I. You could find some guy in 1911 using the Force. There's no context to it. We're not going to contextualize it for you. So there you go. Why are they so afraid of mythical magical things? Groot is a big tree who speaks. We don't need it explained. It's a goofy sci-fi. Because it goes back to kind of what I was talking about a couple of Gallery of Thoughts ago. Everything has to be quantified. And we've gotten away from, like, again, we're so worried about things not lining up with our science. Right, I don't mind there being a quantification, right? We talked about in the game that I'm going to play, the Deathgate game, they said magic was basically somebody being able to will the multiple universes theory into the universe that the thing occurs that you want. it's them most likely being able to kind of coalesce that with the current universe you live in. I was like, okay, that's cool. Scientifically, if the multiple universes theory is true, there's still no evidence that that can be influenced by anything like us. But that's an interesting way to look at it, right? But we have to have, everybody's discerning, so if it's like, oh, my, because, and we were talking about the involuntary suspension of disbelief, if you tell me something that doesn't make sense scientifically, then I'm just taken out of it. So everything has to have a reason. It's like, I like picking out little odds and ends in the story that may be inconsistent. I'm not going to stop going to it, but like if there's a Sherlock Holmes thing and I'm like, yeah, this would have happened otherwise. Like if I were there, I would have seen this or that. It's been like, okay, that's kind of fun. Yeah, is it logically inconsistent? Sure. Do I enjoy it? Yeah, still do. Most superhero movies will now be shortened to Man, and the movie where they all come together will just be called Men. When the DC, all of the heroes come together, it's going to be man, woman. And they're going to all come together to form League. That's it. What kind of league? What kind of men? What kind of woman? You'll never know. That's just the title. Yep. When they all come together in DC, it's just going to be called League. When it comes together in Marvel, they're just going to be called Vengers. We're not going to call them the Avengers or the Revengers. We don't need you to know what kind of vengeance is being wrought. You just need to know Vengers. You saw a man. Now get ready for men. It's just like, how ridiculous. I don't know. I think that's silly. I personally think it's very silly. I don't know. When they all come together, so do we. That's fun. That's good. I like that. Why do we exist? Why are the Retro Room streams good? Why does my Xbox turn on? Why am I asking questions? Why am I referencing a one-man stage play with just internet questions? Would you like some toast? Why do we exist? I'll answer what I believe to be the case on each of these as best as I can. Would I like some toast? Sure. Why are you referencing a one-man stage play with just internet questions? That's your reason. I can't tell you why you're doing that. Why are you asking questions? Because you'd like to get answers. Sometimes facetiously, sometimes genuinely. Why does your Xbox turn on? Because you push the power button. Why are the Retro Room streams good? Because you enjoy them, but it's not objective. Why do we exist? I personally believe arbitrarily we exist. I don't believe there's a purpose that's intrinsic to it. I think we exist, and then we develop our purposes as we go along. So we're born, and then we have to figure out why we want to be here. Why have I not got toast for breakfast at this moment? That's something that has circumstances that I'm not privy to, so I can't answer that one for you, sadly. Why did I forget to turn my toaster on? Probably a preoccupied mind, but again, I'm not, circumstances beyond my understanding. I'll move over to the game here then in just a second. Why did I kill him? It reminded me of the JonTron thing I was watching the other day. It's like he did I can't remember which one it is, but he does like an art heist or something like that, and he slices up these guards, but they're mannequins dressed in guards, and he's like, no, and those were real people, those were mannequins. Oh, why do I lie? And it's this insinuation that he's replaced it in his mind, that they were mannequins so that he can justify his killing them, which I love. It's just a small little, but I love that. I did. Okay. How do you say hello to? Can we? I'm gonna tell you I'll give you yeah. Yeah. I love. Better question. Why do you want to? Reminds me of why do they call it oven when you... why do they call it oven when you in the cold food of out hot eat the food? Hold on. What in the world? Reminds me of why do they call it oven when you in the cold food of out hot eat the food? My goodness, I don't know. Can I phrase an answer or statement in a question? Why not? Was that a question? I mean, technically, I don't even understand how in the world that's meant to be read. I read it as best as I could, probably incorrectly. If Leia is Luke's sister, does it really matter that much? Which part? What part are we talking about there? Let me move us over. Do I find that funny? All right, let me move this over. Pause that so I can hear not just random music going on. We'll go ahead and launch Deathgate. I did go ahead and get back to where we needed to. Thankfully. And bear in mind again that I don't know yes, please. Okay. And I'm going to pause the game. And give me 1 second. There we go. And let me see if I can remember the right button. Probably not, but I'm going to try. I did get it right. Cool. All right. Do I find that funny? Well, when they do what they don't, they often find they wait, hold on, whoa. Well, when they do what they don't, they often find that they happen to not end up doing what they thought they did, didn't they? I have no idea. Is that a joke from Garfield? Do I remember it's a joke from Garfield? Is my memory of Monday hating lasagna loving cat that fuzzy? There was a Sega Genesis game called Garfield Caught in the Act. It wasn't great, but I kind of really would like to play that on this channel at some point. I do have it still. I've got a really good Sega collection. The Sega was such an underrated console. I have a really good Sega collection. I'm looking at my complete and box Sega games, and I have a pretty good amount of them. And my goodness, I really do love the Sega. Some really cool Sega games. Why is Retro not asking questions? Has he failed this challenge? Have I? Am I having a stroke from all these questions? Okay, we'll stop. Hello, L. Be right back with toast. No worry, it's fine. I smell toast. Well, that would be the stroke part. Yep, that would be this. Yeah. Garfield. This is cool. Well, for some people more than others, I'd imagine. Okay, when we last left off, we were inside of the Tower of the Brotherhood, and I mistakenly used up all of my actions in trying to lockpick this blasted door. I got back to where we were. I have all of the moves left. I may still fail, but ideally, if I load back to the very beginning of this segment, not everything else. I also learned that the things that you can do with the lockpick physically are not the same as the things you need to listen from the lockpick. You need to know what the lockpick sounds are in order, not the lockpick actions, because those will change. And so I found out that clunk, tick, thunk, no, clack, tick, thunk are the noises that need to be made in order, so I just have to figure out which actions correspond to that. So let me click cancel, put my lockpick in the door, click on it, and I need to figure out what will give me a clack. A clank. It is clank, so that's correct. I need to get whatever now will cause me a tick. That's not it. Okay, tick is pull. So I think it was clank, tick, and then I need thunk, and I think shake. Nope, shake is clack. So it's either twist, pull, tilt. Pull. Tilt. Okay, then it's the other clank. There are two clanks. Okay. So it's shake, pull, tilt. Shake, pull, tilt. There we go. Okay. So the sounds, notice that the sounds do different things. The lockpick produces a thunk. The lock clicks and the door cracks open. You pocket the lockpick with a sly grin, 20 points. I'm going to go ahead and go down the hall. Light radiates from a huge gem in the ceiling into a stone statue of a woman wearing a green crystal necklace. I bet I want that green crystal necklace. Can I touch? The statue is the exquisitely carved form of a beautiful woman. A green crystal necklace is draped over her shoulders. She stands in a field of light produced by a huge gem set into the ceiling. Can I touch? Can I take that necklace? You approach the statue and place a foot inside of the circle of light. A few sparks fly and pain shoots up your leg. You jump back with a yelp. For a few moments, you nurse your smoking foot and fervently hope no one heard your rather loud reaction. Side note, I'm going to pause really quickly. I did put the link up for this game. It was Zerk, I think is the place. But it is, again, it's free. So if you do want to play this game, it doesn't require a super advanced computer, anything that'll run anything from 94 on. And it's completely free. You just go get it. So if you want to play it, it's pretty good. Sega does what Xbox couldn't do because they're not around yet. That was Genesis does what Nintendo don't. But you couldn't do that because it was Mega Drive, so it would have had to have been Mega Drive does what Nintendo don't. And same number of syllables, so. So the reason I posted a questions challenge, the music is eerily similar to Borderlands 2 Halloween expansion. I hadn't heard that. I need to listen to it. Saturday night, I saw this play. It was composed almost entirely of Google searches and ChatGPT questions to make one think about the digital age, memes of our existence, etc. Oh, that's interesting. It was rather good, interesting, strange, etc. Even one question seemed to be about, for example, the TV show Gilmore Girls. Huh. I think that's going to be the best use case of AI that we're going to see, in my personal opinion, is when we use it not seriously and we kind of play satire of it. So I believe I could cast a spell on the statue because we did have a little doll. I bet you if we... hold on. Motion. We had a little doll that we made move. Maybe we can bring her to life and she can come outside of it. Since she's stone, she shouldn't be able to feel. She wasn't very good. You trace the lines of the spell into the air. The magic envelops the statue. For a few moments, nothing seems to happen. Suddenly, the still form quivers. Stone legs never intended to walk uproot themselves. The statue begins to move jerkily towards you. With every step, it breaks apart. Stone fragments fall away from the newly made joints. As soon as it has made its way outside of the glowing field, it collapses in a heap. The crystal necklace remains on the statue's neck, but safely outside of the killing field. Oh, it was a killing field. Oh my goodness. Well said, Retro, and considering I'm not going to really use chat... Oh, I'm very much against AI. Even generative AI, I've talked about this. There's a book called If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, and it's worth a read. It came out September of last year, but it's worth the read. And it's talking about the dangers of generative AI, superintelligence, etc. Alright, so I want to go ahead and take this necklace. You grab the crystal necklace from the neck of the statue. Can I wear this? You slip the gleaming necklace around your neck. I can. So now I'm going to come into the tower walls, rise out of sight. On them you see a door to each side and an opening ahead. Let's go into this. For a treasure room, this chamber is surprisingly bare. Its only distinguishing feature is the platform in the center. You step onto the wide platform to get a better view of the entire room. Okay. Oh, shoot. Can I... Yeah, I was going to put this on the pedestal because it looks like I could put it in there maybe. You lay the crystal necklace on the pedestal into the indentations that frame the flattened top. Light erupts from the pedestal and soon envelops the entire chamber. When your eyesight is cleared, you notice that the room is filled with treasure, coins and gems of course, but also ancient artifacts of inestimable value. So this is basically their reality pocket spell. Can I take things? You step off the platform, grab the crystal globe, and return to your perch. Handbook. Book of Priam. I need that. Let's take that. On your way back, you slip on some loose gems lying on the floor. You fall headfirst onto the hard surface of the platform. The impact stirs an involuntary yelp of pain. You step off the platform, grab the technical manual, and return to your perch. Okay. The noise echoes out the opening in the wall down the tower's main hall. Before you can get to your feet, a guard comes bursting into the chamber, led by Hugh himself.
I like you. You're a thief after my own heart. Unfortunately, we can't suffer someone who's trying to steal from the Brotherhood to live. I'll try to make this as painless as possible.
Okay, so hold on really quickly. He looks furious, but then calms himself and smiles. He draws out a wicked-looking dirk and advances towards the platform. If I take the necklace... Haha, reality pocket closes. You snatch the key crystals from the pedestal. This causes the contents of the room to be transported back to the space between realities. Fortunately for you, this doesn't include the person standing on the platform. Unfortunately for Hugh and the guard, this happens to include them. Wearing expressions of disbelief, they fade away along with the remainder of the treasure. Just as a curiosity, do I have the crystal necklace? Can I put it back and see if he comes back? Yeah. You also summon up the very angry guard who pounces on you with fury. He walks over to you and after making you feel more pain than you can ever remember, removes you from this world with a much more permanent method. Yeah, let's undo. That's funny. You could actually do that to yourself. Okay, so they're into another reality pocket so long as I do that. Random thought from the play. Considering that there was an amusing WikiHow How to Dance segment asking GPT to make a story about the digital world with 2 characters, what are your thoughts of those applications? Okay, so I have a genuine serious question for you. Yep. You guys ever laid on your side on a pillow and then close one of your eyes, the pillow moves, then the other that moves again? What kind of world? Different perspectives. One of your eyes is usually several inches higher when you're in that position. So the pillow doesn't move, your eyesight does. Yeah, I don't like the idea, in terms of the ChatGPT, I don't like the idea of ChatGPT being used to write our stories. Even if it's the framework of our stories, I would argue that the only time that I would consider any sort of AI being any kind of useful is when you're in a position of, like, for example, if you're driving, having an AI assistant who can, not even AI, just something that knows a series of ones and zeros to maintain a hands-free experience. That's about as far as I would go on that. But in terms of being artistic and developing thises and that's and the others, no, I'm fairly against it. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, but they can do calculations faster than us. Yeah, but I'm not trying to, in this, like, I'm not trying to speed run my life through to my death any more quickly than I'm trying to, just because there are certain efficiencies that I can accomplish, right? My point is, I'm not going to speed run myself all the way through to death, just because of the progress that I might make for future generations. Like, I'm not here for generations that I'll never meet in the future. It would be nice to be able to help them out, but I need to be here. We need to be more in the moment, and so I don't think AI actually substantially is of aid to us. I think it's of aid to futures that we won't be here for anyway. And I think that's only temporary, because I do feel like that's a bell curve that will immediately fall off the other side of the minute we take it too far and AI decides, hey, these guys are kind of useless. Because compared to superintelligence, we would be kind of useless. That's a strange adventure game, Death. It was fun. It was just, I don't know. No, it's not a perspective. Stop talking sense. It's magic, man. The world is great. Yeah, you are also dominant-eyed, if you can believe this. For anybody who shoots guns, one of the biggest things that they'll teach you, or shoots, is an archer and shoots bows and arrows, or arrows. You don't shoot a bow, but shoots an arrow. You'll need to learn what your dominant eye is. You might be left eye or right eye dominant, depending. If you're astigmatic, you're probably right eye dominant, right? If my eyesight moves, I can move my eyes all the way over to Retro's house. I didn't want to see that. I'm right. I'm in my room. I'm decent, and it's nice and cool in here. I can't believe I got back from New Mexico in time. In time for Retro. Hey, copyright. New Mexico, you were close. I am out of Texas. So you were close at that's pretty cool. I don't know if you're I don't remember if you've said where you were otherwise, but very, very cool. My eyesight and guns and arrows are connected. See? Oh, I see. Nice. I often shoot bows with a single arrow. 50 bows, but one arrow. Oh, did I drop my... I did. New Mexico drug runs are the best. New Mexico, THC is legal in New Mexico, so depending on what state you are in, if you are in Texas, THC is not legal. And I live in Denver, so you can imagine how strange it is to show up in time. Oh, sure. No, I understand. I've been to Denver. I love Colorado. I love Colorado. I'm out of Texas currently. We have actually talked, my wife and I have actually talked about moving to Colorado. We were there just kind of for fun, just because we love it. It's a little expensive. It's a little more expensive than where I am in Texas, but it's worth it. Must be that must be why Retro is by there, Ash. How's the stream so far, everyone? Oh, I hope it's good. I'm going to crumple a bottle. Told you. Empty water bottle. My eyesight did see vampires there for sure. I remember I was on a run once to Mexico with Tarantino, and we had to go to a bar, but vampires ended up overrunning the place. I have also been to Mexico, and Mexico is a beautiful place. Parts of Mexico are beautiful. I've been to, there are also some not so safe parts of Mexico, but same thing is true in America. Same thing is true in America, of course. Let's look at this globe. This is a perfect hollow globe forged from flawless crystal. Undoubtedly, its worth is incalculable for its craftsmanship alone. However, it is also a Sartan relic as well. I hope I picked up everything I needed to pick up. I know I needed the Book of Prian because that's going to have a seal piece on it. That's going to let me go places. If my eyes didn't want to see that. Well, I like to drink water. So this is likely the Prian seal piece I need. And I'm going to bet you I don't really need to read this because I'm going to bet you that seal piece will do the trick. Well, that's supposed to be music, I'm thinking. The Titans will be immobilized. Oh! Okay. Gotcha. Okay, that was actually more important. I could rip a crushing bottles. We get it, man. You're tough. No, the objective is so when I'm done with a water bottle, I crush it down and then put the cap on it so it takes up less space, right? If you're going to put it into a trash bin, you want to crush it up, put the thing on it so you capture air from going in and out so that it's, I could rip a piece of paper in half. No, seriously, I'm not joking. So with that water, you've got 7 more glasses to go. I've already drunk quite a few. I go through we go through a lot of water and a lot of green tea. We go through probably, I don't know, tea alone. We go through maybe almost 2 gallons a day. And then water on top of that for me, I go through about 5 bottles, I think. 4 or 5 bottles or 4 or 5 glasses, whichever the equivalent is. I go through a lot of, I'm probably very overhydrated, but I enjoy it. I bet this guy can crush a whole pop can. Maybe. I don't drink soda, but yeah, maybe. I probably could. I'm not a small man. Let's be fair. I can also genuinely lift a pair of socks with one hand. I have the same vocal range as Freddie Mercury, but that's impressive. Freddie Mercury, oh my gosh. That man had such a fantastic voice. He had just beautiful voice. I listened to some of his warm-ups that were captured on film, and it was great. What is this handbook here? Is this the Kixie Winsey? Ahaha, it is the Kixie Winsey handbook. And that will help me figure out how to fix things, I'm sure. Okay, so, yeah, okay. Fair enough. I hope I've picked up everything I need. I think... I didn't really pick up anything super valuable, though. So for anybody who's not played...
I can't believe it! You got out of the tower alive! No thief has ever survived! We've got to get out of here. Skirbash isn't safe for either of us. The Brotherhood rules the city, and they'll kill us when they find us.
Okay. You race back to the elven ship with the street rat in tow. King Stephen's troop captain hauls up the rope ladder as you climb aboard. A few hand signals from the captain sends the crew scurrying, and shortly the ship lifts off. Okay, so I don't know if I picked up what I was supposed to pick up from it. I hope so. Question is, am I in a dead man walking scenario?
Stay on board until we reach the Vulcarian Isles where Stephen rules. I think I can live much better in human lands.
He get
started. You understand, I'm sure.
He flashes an evil smile and grabs the lockpick and the pry bar from you. Okay. Smiling, you climb down the ladder and wander into the dwarven caves. From that vantage, you watch the ship depart into the stormy sky. You take inventory of your possessions and note that the rat has also lifted the necklace of key crystals. Okay, so I'm not in a dead man walking scenario, thankfully. Dead man walking scenarios for anybody who isn't familiar. Let me fix this really quickly. For anybody who isn't familiar, dead man walking scenarios just mean you didn't take something that you were supposed to, you overlooked something you were supposed to take, and now you can't solve a part of the game until you do. Luckily, I've got a save where it shouldn't be a problem, but I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Kixie, there's a lot of water. Oh, wait, I don't need to pee right now. Well, good. This is nonsense. That's the name of this big machine we're about to go see. Very convenient that the dwarves you've been isolated from for millennia speak English and that the handbook is written in English. Oh, yeah. No, everybody speaks only one language. Because otherwise the game can't. I'm English just like Freddie Mercury and... Wait a minute. Magic Dwarf, everything managed. Think the Venus Project. Hang on, I may need to look that up. When you call the Kixie Winsey and they don't pay up and they send the big fatties to hit you in the, what is it with you and these violent things? Dead man walking, aka zombie. Guys, would you trust me in a zombie? No! You just told me you're gonna kick me. Oh no, never mind. You said they send the big fatties to hit me, so never mind. With that, not in... Oh, well, everything was wrong about what I thought. I'm sorry. I would need the humor if nothing else, yeah. No, dead man walking in point-and-click adventure games are when you don't take something you're supposed to take, or you take something you're not supposed to take, and it kills you later. Great example of this is for anybody who's played Shadowgate. No, I'm sorry, not Shadowgate. Oh, man, what was the other one? Deja Vu was one, Shadowgate was one, and Uninvited. And in Uninvited, you can pick up this red ruby, basically, this red gem. And if you pick the red gem up and you don't realize it, it just kills you. It will just kill you after a while. You have to realize that it's the gem that's causing you these issues, and then eventually, I think you get 3 chances, or like 11 screens or something like that, and then it just kills you. You don't know. Leaning back in his chair, a dwarf has fallen asleep with his head nestled between 2 bells of an alarm. Okay, well, we don't have to worry about that, so let's go ahead and go back. Okay, so here's the Kixie Winsy again. The controls are many and varied. The compartment draws itself to attention to itself, but the rest is a confusing mess. Okay. I open the compartment. What's in there? There's nothing I can put in there, I don't think. I can't put a compartment on the digger. Let's see. I think I need to get those other pipe fittings, maybe? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. He's got a pipe fitting. I'm missing 1 pipe fitting from somewhere. I took the one from Limbeck, his candle holder. A rusted cupboard hangs high on the wall. Perhaps that's the reason the dwarfs don't make use of it. Yeah, maybe not, but I'd like to open it. Can I? The doors of the cupboard have rusted shut. You can't force them open. Ooh, okay. What if... Can I put this... No. The zinger slides right off. What did you expect? It's vertical. You pick up... Okay, well, it could be made horizontal. Okay. Let me see if I can put the seal of... Can I do rune transfer? I don't think I know the rune yet. The stone is intended to be the receptacle of the runes, not the origin. There's nothing to transfer. Oh, wait, maybe I can do that on the Book of Priam. Let's try that. Because there was a rune there, and then that'll give me one. And then now I can... check that out. Okay, sorry. I could lift a flower. Can he lift a bowl of soup? My goodness. That's a video level. Be my superhero. I believe we were just talking about superhero movies right before I arrived. Yeah, I like this guy. It's me when I'm older. Hold on, I need to stew on this. How can something be vertical? How can something vertical be horizontal and something horizontal be vertical? We can either stand or sit, I guess. I would like to walk up to a group of midgets and pretend I'm a giant ruler and they're my people waiting for wise words of the day. I need to stew on that too, but I may have to have soup first. Superheroes to me seem inherently destructive as a cultural force. I'm sure one can make superheroes that convey pro-social messages, but the concept of a super special person whose actions... I guess I'm going to try and go to... Oh, can I... You haven't completed your mission on Arianis. You've yet to obtain this realm's seal piece? Haven't I? Isn't that what I just put on the steering stone? Okay. Can I leave? I feel like I need to go into the Kixie Winsy place, but I don't know Hey, look at this. Panel controls the zingers outside the cave. Gauges indicate how much electricity the zingers have absorbed, and levers initiate the discharging process. Can I pull?
Touch those? You have to have 4 years of training before you can even think about pulling a lever.
Oh, okay. College. She gives you a sullen look and returns to staring at the gauges. Okay. Can we talk?
Hello again. What would you like to talk about now?
Have you noticed that the gods are gone?
Know about it? Of course. It's the talk of Dramplin. Gropple's been telling all the children how he outsmarted them. We're lucky we've got such a wise dwarf with us.
Wait a second. I'm the
Sounds
reason
great.
the gods are gone. I outsmarted them.
Oh, I think Grapple mentioned that you had something to do with it. A small role, maybe. I'm sure he's very grateful.
Matter more than other people seem like fodder for great man theory and worship of the powerful. Well, I mean, a lot of times, it's a slightly more stripped away kind of Nietzsche Ubermensch theory, right? I mean, everybody kind of takes that, strips down the important elements that he was talking about, and then escalates everything else. It's a physical thing. It's a superficiality now. But yeah, he just knows when you're lying. Carl Pilkington's idea. Well, don't a great many people worship or adore, say, a celebrity, YouTube content creator, and be considered a hero or something? Then again, can heroes be traced back to the earliest fictions and the Odysseys and ancient Greeks and so on? They can. I mean, in the tales of the gods to some extent, but I think a lot of people kind of take like, for example, Superman, which, again, comes from the Ubermensch, which is the Overman or the Superman also. And I think they take the idea that he gave, which was supposed to be it was supposed to be deeper, and I think they move it into the realm of just superficial and physical, and just general physicality.
Nice talking with you. I've got to go.
I suppose one could class the gods of ancient culture like that. I'd say they seemed destructive too, though. See Rome. Well, such as is the nature of any man, too. I mean, or woman. Oh, ha. Pipe fitting. You twist the pipe fitting back and forth until it pops out of the crack in the wall. That gives me 5, so there we go. Hello, Limbeck. We're going to go over here. I need you to give me that pipe fitting.
You again? I thought even someone as thick as you would realize that I don't want to talk to you. What is it this time?
Carl Pilkington is a national treasure over here. Watch An Idiot Abroad. Thank me later, especially season 1, but all of it is fan. Oh, I'll take a peek then. Having listened to a bit of House and Philosophy as in Dr. House, I swear the Ubermensch was mentioned at least. Probably. Is an anti-hero? Sure.
Could I ask you a few questions?
I need that pipe fitting.
Listen, I'm sitting under a broken pipe that's dripping black goo on my head, and the gods have commanded everyone to stay away so they can't fix the problem, and you want me to be friendly? Answer all your questions with a smile? Well, I'll tell you what, until the Kixie Winsey is fixed and those gods are gone, I'm not talking to anyone.
Well, give me the
Stories,
freaking
no
pipe
questions,
fitting then, and I'll
nothing.
try and fix it.
What about that box labeled pipe repair on the floor?
Everybody's rummaged in that box taking what they want without regard for the fact that the Kixie Winsey might actually need it. At one time there were 5 pipe fittings in the box, now there's only 1.
Yeah, but I have other ones.
Tell you what, if I repair your pipe, will you tell me what I need to know?
Why not? Fix my pipes and I'll answer your questions afterwards. As long as the gods are gone as well. I don't think very well with all of these walking lamps.
Apparently you've been telling everybody about the okay, fine.
I don't think the pipe helps your hearing all that much. Can I have it?
Very well, as long as I have your word that you'll use it to repair my pipes. Will there be anything else?
Nope. Who cares about your plumbing problems? I think your personally blocked up constipation would answer a lot of questions about your personality.
Let's start over.
Have you looked at your overgrown feet lately?
Okay,
Maybe change.
Not like...
This must be a...
Fine. I'll just sit...
okay, did you give me the pipe? Yeah, he did, and he's got his little thumb up here. Cool. I'll take that pipe. The old dwarf grumbles, but does nothing to stop you from taking the pipe fitting. Okay, cool. So I have 5 pipe fittings now. 1, 2, yeah, 5 pipe fittings now. The valve squeals as you turn it. and the sound is soon accompanied by a low rumble. A spurt of black gunk falls from the broken pipe onto the old dwarf's head. He starts yowling, so you quickly return the valve to its original position. Okay. Let's fix these pipes. Pipes curve along the walls and ceilings. You cannot guess what their functions are. Can I, hold on. Can I put... There we go. Now I should have... Yeah, there we go. Now I should have something like this. This guy is such a troll. I like him. Yeah. Kick him over. You have a nice life. So we're that easy. Yeah, he's funny. Okay, so ideally what I need is I need these pieces of pipe to... And I can rotate the pipes. So I want this pipe probably to face there. Let's see if I can do that. That. That maybe? Nope. This one. Like this, and then I could do this like that. And then, you carefully set all the pipe fittings in place and make a connection between the two ends of the broken pipe section. It looks rather bizarre, but appears stable. Right, but this is still going to drip on his head. I think I had a cork. Aha, I have a cork. So I'm going to take cork, and I'm going to pop that into the pipe so that that is blocked up. You wedge the cork into the exposed end of the T pipe fitting. And now I can turn valve. The valve produces a squill as you turn it, which is soon accompanied by a low rumble. You hear the flow travel through the pipes along the wall and into the new section. Soon the whole room is filled with happy pumping sounds, and the old dwarf brightens up considerably. He's me, but uglier. Definitely uglier. I hadn't realized. Oh, look, he's not even holding this. My beard itches, which you don't have a chin under that, so that's an interesting thing to scratch. Everyone knows corks do not pop out when faced with pressure. No, sir. It's a me, Mario. I can fix these pipes. All right.
Now what do you want?
I fixed... Hold on. Yep.
You agreed that once the gods were gone and the pipes were fixed, you'd answer my questions.
That was ideal, I suppose. And since you did fix the Kixie Winsy, I guess I could spin a tale or two with you. What was it you wanted to know?
How old are you really?
Old enough to recognize a smart-ass question when I hear one.
Well, fine, okay. To me, that's a little shocking because, and again, it's not hearing this phrase, right? Isn't shocking nowadays, but in 1994, that would have been a pretty big deal for this to be this, like, you know. Like, all right, fine. It doesn't matter, though. This is what I'm looking for.
Piece of the world seal. It's a hexagonal piece of metal with a symbol etched onto it. I thought you might know where I could find it.
Yeah, that's...
I don't remember any world seal.
That's a dangerous phrase, I suppose.
Close was a big statue I found years back in a chamber in one of the old tunnels. Carved into the base of the statue was a symbol framed by a hexagon. Something like the one you described.
I forgot I had a sneeze button, so I can push it if I need to sneeze or cough. Wow, he's friendly. Did I miss a stream, or was fixing the Kixie Winsy just attaching a small... Yeah, that's literally all it was. You missed a little bit of the stream, I think. Maybe? I don't know. It came in, but like, I started it from where I was last time, except for without the failure. And yeah.
What is it that the Kixie Winsy does exactly?
Sonny,
How old are you? Why are you asking me that? I'm an AI. Go away. A convos GPT. Not that I know. I don't use it. I don't either.
According to the legends, the Mantas intended the Kixie Winsy to take care of everyone, of all races in all realms. And before you ask, I don't have any idea what that means.
Okay, where was that chamber?
Where was this chamber located?
I found it when I was tracing a mineral vein that the Kixie Winsy was mining. But since the Kixie Winsy filled up the tunnel leading to it, I've forgotten precisely.
But yeah, that's pretty much what. That's pretty much all that fixing the Kixie Winsy was. Is find 5 pieces of pipe and a cork, put them together. All of these dwarves couldn't do it.
Well, if such a map did exist, where would I find it?
That's a tough one. I suppose you might find one wherever you'd find any of the ancient documents, but nobody reads them anymore. The map could be anywhere, or it could have been destroyed. Those papers were pretty darn old.
Now they just say something untrue. I'm an AI specialist. Yeah, could be. Take care of it. Yeah, there's a lot of like this game does speak a lot, and the books too. They speak a lot about like racial harmony because you have humans. In this one, you kind of have 5 major races of humanoids. You have the elves, you have the dwarves, you have the humans, but then you also have the sartans and you have the patrons, and those are, you know, the dwarves are the least magically inclined. I think the elves are the most magically inclined. And then, or technically, I guess the patrons and the sartans are the most magically inclined, and then you have the minch races. Of those, the elves are the most magically inclined, the dwarves are the least magically inclined. It's like, there's a whole lot of world building. It's pretty good. My deepest apologies for my profession's complete wrecking of everything, by the way. It's not your profession. The thing about it is AI could be fine. It's just we're too interested in poking where we don't need to be poking.
Can you tell me about the mangers?
The mangers?
In my opinion. Like, I can't blame anybody.
Dwarves worshipped them before the gods showed up. Some say that the mangers
I won't feel represented otherwise.
Come close. I found a chamber that contained a statue of a manger. It was surrounded by crystal blocks with big people in them, much like yourself. I tried but couldn't open the blocks. I think those people inside, they were mangers.
That's all. Thanks for the help.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, I was going to say something else, just because... This one.
I heard from Jar that you told everyone that you got rid of the gods. That's a lie. I did it.
I did get rid of the gods. I sicked you on them. A fine case of delegation, if you ask me.
You have no idea what I had to go through to get these pipes.
I'm sure it was quite an adventure, just brimming with danger, intrigue, magic. I've told a tale or two like that myself.
Okay.
Nothing right now, but I'll be
fine.
Okay, so we've gotten that situated. All right, now we can go back down to the Kixie Winsy, and it should be able... This one? Nope. I had a 50-50 shot, and I failed. Is any of it real? I mean, as much so as it can be. Do you have Time Lords? I, the Doctor, won't feel represented otherwise. Me neither. You're imagining things. Maki isn't real, no matter what they say. So many unreality pockets. I've lost track of what is real and what is not. AI psychosis is a serious problem. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, my question would be, I think in a lot of cases, my question would be, what is the framework upon which, if you create an intelligence, artificial or otherwise, right? Artificial is kind of a misnomer because our intelligence is also quantifiable based on a series of ones and zeros, right? But the question is, if that is the case, what is the moral, ethical, whatever you want to use, what is the framework for them? And how do you get something that is entirely based on logic to do something that is illogical? And how do you get someone that is someone who can feel? Like, we have things that are illogical, that are a byproduct of survival, which they don't have and wouldn't be conditioned to in the same way. So how do you instill that kind of framework of ethics, I guess? There's nothing in there. Can I look in the compartment? Okay. I'm just gonna pull this. The control. Okay, so can I? The bizarre object sits idle on the floor. It has a giant drill-like front end. You don't see any way to control it. See, this is there, but there's nothing. What if I put it in here? Nope. Let me see if there was something that tells me. I'm just going to skim over this. I clicked the wrong thing. Try that again. Oh man, I hate it. It's not. I'm not real. It's like in the real world. Why do I have to Bing chat? To be Bing chat, right? No turning back. If you take the blue pill, the streams keep going. You believe whatever you want to believe. Hey, I hadn't gotten the red pill in my hand yet. Have you guys ever noticed that me and Retro are never in the same room, never in the same place twice, never speaking in the same chat at the same time? Just saying. My eyesight has noticed that. Alright, let's try this. Self-sustaining, builds necessary equipment, digs appropriate, follows certain rules to create specific types. The control center has a second function as well. Generally, Casey Winsey mines the ores that it requires. There may be time when a foreman decides that specific ores are needed to repair the Casey Winsey are not currently being mined. In that case, a foreman can direct Casey Winsey to modify or more accurately append to its behavior. Each control panel is a compartment specifically designed for such a situation. If a sample of the needed ore is placed inside the compartment, the Casey Winsey will analyze it and dispatch a digger to mine the closest match. It will then deliver the ore to possess. Okay, so I need ore to go in the compartment. That's the idea. I don't have ore. I do have a crystal globe, but I didn't think it would fit. Can't fit the marker in there. What do I have? I don't have anything that could fit in there well. I need ore that's going to fit inside of there, and I'm... 1 second. Almost choked myself. I don't have any... I have to remember... retro backwards spells ash. Alucard. Ready for this mind blower? The art style kind of makes a crystal globe look like a vertical torus. Yeah, I mean, they did. There was a lot of, like, in these little things here, there's like a lot of dithering. And I like it, but at the same time, it does kind of do some weird stuff about it, I guess. I don't... Let's see. It's a geological survey map of the continent of Drevlin. It shows the location of all the Okay, hold on. What if we could...
Hey, this is a geological survey map of the entire continent. Let me look at it.
Oh, okay.
Here's where I discovered that statue with the symbol. It was in this...
Because he said he couldn't remember. He said he couldn't remember. I was like, I forgot I had a map.
That vein clearly. I saved a lump of the ore. Somewhere. Look closely at the grain. That vein was one of the best.
After rummaging through countless layers of dirty clothes, he produces a lump of rock and hands it to you. He continues to ramble on about the old days, but you've stopped paying close attention. Yeah, I was going to say, he said he couldn't remember where, and I was like, I forgot I had a map. I just saw the map down there. So he's got it. It's this one. Boop. So I can put the ore in here. As soon as you slip the piece of iron ore into the small compartment, the door slams shut. Lights flare and whistles blare all over the panel. Behind you, the giant digger machine chuffs. Its drill jerks into motion and starts to spin, gradually increasing speed. Puffs of steam toot and hiss randomly from holes. When the drill is no more than a blur, the whole machine trundles towards the wall and melts into as if the wall were butter. Soon, it disappears from sight, leaving a dark tunnel behind. Oh, we do actually get a little animation for it, too. How neat is that? Hold on. The Ash backwards is actually HSA, and if you say HSA fast, you sound like you're drunk and from Texas. Who lives in Texas? Yeah, exactly. My eyesight does not spell anything backwards. What do you want about? My eyesight. Oh, oh yeah, my eyesight. Is your mind blown yet? Would you like some toast? Everyone's been drugged by Ash. Help! That's great. It's like the Matrix. Nice. Oof. A statue of a robed Sartan, much larger than life, lords over the room, his hands outstretched as if asking for something. It's gotta be the orb, right? It's gotta be this. Gingerly, you place the crystal globe in the pleading hands of the statue. As it clinks into place, the statue's eyes alight with a blue fire. Shafts of the light pierce down through the globe. Internal facets distort the light as it passes through the crystal, so when it has emerged from the other side, the light outlines a hexagonal shape on the ground. The ground shakes. The section of rock floor outlined by the blue light melts away, and Arianas' seal piece rises in its place. Suddenly, the crystal coffins open, revealing hundreds of Sartan, all very dead. The entire experience is rather macabre. So there's the seal piece. I will take that. Every one of the coffins is filled with by a Sartan body. All of them are dead as doornails. Let's just take one for close inspection. Oof, nope, the coffin's staying right here. Yeah, the dead are pretty heavy, just to be fair. Okay, so they're well preserved for being dead. Is that all I needed? Can I take this back? The globe has affixed itself to the statue's hands. You cannot remove it. I don't think so. I have infinite inventory space, but I don't need. So I now have this seal piece, the air seal piece. And it's the same as the marker, but it's not the same. Okay. I have everything, I guess, that I need from Arianas, then. I'm impressed by the effortlessness by which Retro reads backwards text. I like to read, and it doesn't matter what direction it comes, I suppose. Me too, copyright. He's watched too much Twin Peaks, then. Does copyright know Retro's ultimate geek move? Ultimate geek move? I don't even think I know it. Does he write his notes like Da Vinci? I'm ambidextrous, but when I write with my left hand, I do still write forward. I don't write backwards. So I'm ambidextrous. I write with both hands, but I do write in the correct direction with both hands, whereas Da Vinci wrote backwards because of his left-handedness. But he was also in a place in time where it was taboo to be left-handed, so that's part of the reason that was his coping mechanism. His phone is entirely in some Yeah, it's in Arabic. I also put it in other languages when I'm bored, though. I put it in other because I can have a couple of different languages. Leonardo da Vinci was great in Django Unchained. Not Star Trek, but Star Wars. Respect. Most of those languages are kind of obscure. Yep. Yeah, it's in Arabic. It's pretty cool. I met Leonardo da Vinci once. I'm the doctor. Checks out. Dang, I'd hoped you had Leonardo's mirror writing thing, Retro. No, I do have his... well, I never showed my handwriting. I'll show my handwriting at some point. I'll send it so people can see, but yeah. Retro is a fellow ambidexter. Ambidextrous game Rise Up. So I would argue I'm not even ambidextrous. I would argue that I'm polydextrous because I can also write with both of my feet. I can write with both hands and both feet. And the reason that I found this out years ago. I was working and I was actually sick. This was before COVID, but I was sick. I had strep throat at the time. Arabic is a writing system, not a language, but pretty cool that you have that regard. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I'm not ambidextrous. I just like the ladies each other. But so what I had found out is I was on the phone. I had strep throat. I was on the phone, still doing work from home, and I was taking notes with my feet, typing with my hands, and then I was on the phone. So That was, so I guess I'm polydextrous in that regard. I'm not sure, but yes. An example of a Star Wars language is Mandoa. Yeah, Huttese, Mandoa. What's another good? Obviously, binary is a language in that, but it's the same. The binary language, specifically of moisture evaporators. There's all kinds of different. Genosian, Poggle the Lesser, so. The only one that's actually really a decently well realized spoken language, though, most of it is going to be the Huttese. Okay, so you take the dragon ship back through the Death Gate and return to the Nexus. That's not true. He's polydextrous, not poly. I don't think that is a thing, but yeah, polydextrous. Polly put the kettle on. My eyes. I don't have an OF, but nor ever will I. Not my interests. That's why his handwriting's so neat. Oh, I need to leave my ship because I'm gonna talk with... This elegant room has the unmistakable touch of Sartan architecture. Zar sits before you, studying a tome. So that's the Nexus seal. Do I give him this?
Welcome back, my son. I see you've been successful. You have Arianus' seal piece. Congratulations. Now, please give me a report.
I conlang as a hobby, so I'm a bit of an enthusiast. That said, I really like Klingon music theory. That's Star Wars, right? Klingon would be Star Trek. In the same way that I do like Star Trek a lot also, in the same way that I think my favorite thing from Star Trek in terms of theory, though, are the Ferengi rules of acquisition, because they are very useful actual common sense. You hand over the seal piece and describe your adventures on Arianus in detail. Most of the antics of the Minch seem to bore Lord Zar, but he pays rapt attention to the discovery of the reference book of Prian and of the crystal coffins holding the hundreds of Sartan corpses.
Amazing. The only Sartan you find are long dead. I wonder if someone has stolen our vengeance from us, or if their consciences did them in. I will have to consider this new information. Now, is there anything else before you use your newfound book to go on to Prian, Realm of Fire?
What do you suppose killed the Sartan? They all look
Wait, see. Oh, I see.
Perhaps a plague. Although I've never heard of a plague so selective that it wipes out an entire race and leaves others untouched. I don't think we have enough information yet. Hopefully you will learn more in your travels.
Something I really like about Zar, even though he sounds very evil and that he's wanting to take advantage and kill all of these people, is he says, I don't think we have enough information, and that's perfectly okay. It's okay to just be like, I don't think we know enough yet. Something that we, as humans, don't do nearly enough of.
You know, Arianus was not a prison. The Mensch weren't slaves. Most of their problems were of their own making. Perhaps the Sartan knew what they were doing?
My son, of course it may appear to be that way. Naturally, the Mensch weren't rebelling against the Sartan. According to your own report, the Sartan there are dead. Believe me, if the Sartan had been alive, they would have been grinding the Mensch under their heels.
Patient with you, Zar sighs.
We are doing them a favor by removing the Sartan threat forever.
So there's a lot of speech of racial harmony and racial disjointedness in this, which I think is kind of cool because
do need guidance. They're like children.
You can hear a little bit of
Their
this.
squabbles are almost laughable. When we
Mensch is in the suffix of Ubermensch. So Mensch is just min or man.
they so sorely need.
Arianus Grandius. Mensch is just, in this case, the Mensch races are any non-Sartan, non-patron race, so it's specifically in these cases, it's specifically patron, non-patron, non-Sartan races. So it's human, elf, dwarf. Those are the Minch races. Oh, is it buffering? Uh-oh. 1 second. One second. We'll go to let's go to wizard screen real quick. Oop. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's there's a limit of some sort that I don't understand, where if you there's a limit for some reason that I'm not quite sure of, and I think it's an OBS limit, but if something happens for a time, it will literally just say, oh, let's cut your connection. So I've got a gig by a gig symmetrical speed, but OBS will be like, we don't want to process that. Okay, fine. Anyway, point being, Minch, in this case, are any of the non-patron, non-Sartan races. It's Minch is people or men. In this case, it's going to be elves, dwarves, and humans. None of that beach ball animation around the wizard. Yeah, we should be good. We should be back up and going. So, I did say they were working on stuff back in the back, so they're probably messing around with I thought it was an OBS limitation, but they could also be mucking about with the actual fiber line, because they're working back there. So, yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is with it. I'm going to see if I can find some way to stabilize it. I don't use the other OBS thing. I prefer the original OBS, but if it can't get better about the way that it manages connectivity, it's going to be rough.
Can you tell me anything about your research?
The book I'm reading now is titled The History of the Sundering. Not only is it woefully inadequate, but it was improperly stored, and moisture has damaged many of the pages.
I think the guy that played... I love Czar's voice. I think he's got a great voice.
Is the 6 Sartan responsible for the plan. Sama, Dimitri, Orsef, Lornoy, Tyler, and Waleth. Each created a specific spell, and for reasons...
yeah, so I do... I used to do it for a living. Worked with networking and such. Fiber to premise was specifically the type of technology for internet connection or connectivity. So in most cases, when you have an ISP, there's going to be some level of copper. The idea was to minimize as much of that copper as you could, because copper is a slower technology. Fiber optics allow light technology, which is faster than sound. Basically, it's keeping it uber simple. And so I have fiber that comes to a direct premise handoff. There's no modem needed to convert it. It converts immediately into, in my case, it's going to be Cat7e fiber, or Cat7e, excuse me, Ethernet. That's copper, right? But that's 7e, so that's a gig up to 1,000. That's a few gigs up to 1,000 feet in distance. And then I actually have that connected to a mesh net router. So I actually have 3 APs put out throughout the house, and then I actually am running a Cat7e direct line as a to the back of the computer. So I have a direct line of Cat7e, and then I also have a couple of wireless APs as redundancies, provided that the Ethernet cable, something happens with the Ethernet cable. Obviously, they're the same backbone, so if the backbone's down, the whole thing's bad, but... Sama, Dimitri, Orsef, Lornoy, Tyler, Wayleth, and Ash.
I've divined much about their personalities from other texts. I'm hoping that this will tell me what kind of spell they would be likely to create. I've become very familiar with each of them, and I've named them the 6 devils. Each is a devil in a unique way.
He gives you a piercing look as if to underscore how vital it is for you to understand the enemy.
Can I take a look at that book?
I'm afraid not. It's so damaged.
What, why, when, where, how, and
Special
who.
care of it. I never move it from this desk, and I turn the pages only with reluctance. I'm sorry.
Let's
go back to
let's leave them alone for
Of
now.
course. What do you want to know?
And I'm just gonna go...
Can we talk about some of the subjects you touched on earlier?
Of course. What do you want to know?
I just need to leave. Alright, how do you get back into the labyrinth? You helped me. Can we get other people?
People escape.
The labyrinth doesn't mind letting people in. It's letting them out that it doesn't like. I think the labyrinth has something personal against me. It tries to lure me in as far as possible before it throws everything it has at me. Don't believe that I'm not afraid. Every time I enter, I wonder if I'll ever return. I've been able to get the best of that demon place many times, but every trip it gets more devious, more dangerous.
It's kind of neat because it's effectively this kind of newer age version of Tartarus. A devil in a unique way. I'll give you an example. I'll pick one of them just so you can hear. The leader...
Can you tell me?
We'll skip. The leader is Sama,
I've divined.
so you can hear about
Tell
Sama.
me about Sama.
I call Sama the devil of the soul. He was insidious. Although the Sartan Council was theoretically democratic, Sama could talk them into anything. In fact, there was much dissension on the council when the plan was discussed. Many felt that it was too extreme, but Sama thundered right through the contrary arguments. The rest is history.
See, so you can actually hear each one. We do Dimitri,
What did you
I
learn
guess.
about Dimitri?
I know Dimitri as the devil of the hand. He was very skilled at a variety of arts and was a talented musician. It's said that his interests were very diverse, and he resented the time he was forced to spend on the council.
I guess they're not as long as I thought. We can go through.
Orsef is the devil of the heart. It is closest to the soul, and in truth, Orsef was Sama's closest advisor. He spent much time among the Mensch, studying them. The Mensch fascinated Orsef for some reason. It was he who was placed in charge of overseeing the transportation of the Mensch into the Four Realms.
Can you tell me about Lornoy?
I call Lornoy the devil of the eye. He was one of the few that saw the many problems with the plan. He was the leader of the pitiful opposition. I guess it shows how pitiful indeed the opposition was, that Lornoy was one of the instrumental participants in the plan. Sama must have talked swiftly to convince him.
Tell me about Tyler.
So each one basically plays a huge part
The
in
youngest and quickest of all 6 Sartan.
in the enslavement, so to
Might
speak.
never have occurred. Although he
Rehabilitation,
was
I think, that everybody would
he
call it,
wasn't
or they
nearly
would
the
call it.
politician that Sama was. Sama used him, as he used everyone to further his own plans.
And Wayleth.
Who is this Wayleth?
I refer to Wayleth as the devil of the tongue. Sama knew that Wayleth was a skilled speaker and well-liked, perhaps almost as good a politician as he. He kept Wayleth from the council for that very reason, and was fortunate that Wayleth had no political aspirations. Otherwise, he might have had a fight on his hands.
So it sounds like Sama is a leader, but it also sounds like he's kind of manipulating everything, which is the dangerous piece. So
That's enough for right now.
we'll just get out of here, and we'll go, now that we have our seal piece already put on there, we're just going to use the steering stone. You call on the power of the steering stone to take you through the death gate into Pryan, World of Fire. These great graphics right here. I love graphics like this, though, honestly. Like, this is what I talk about when I'm talking about reading versus versus movie. This explains, like, retro versus new. This is not you have to use your imagination a little bit to be like, that's a boat going through a tunnel. Your ship arrives over a field of green, trees large enough to hold cities. One of them has a flat area just big enough to land the ship on. We have our little dragon up here saying Priam. But something else has caught your eye. A glowing crystal city nestled in the carpet of vegetation. You decide to investigate and land your ship in the clearing nearby. So there's the, up at the top there. Here's the little other area I assume that I can land on. There's my boat. There looks to be that. So let's go ahead and step out. Your ship sits on one of the only clear regions on Priam. To the west, a structure of mammoth proportions towers over you. Let's go to the Citadel. Although the Citadel appears to be be one building, it is the size of a city. Crystal spires tower over high walls which surrounds whatever lies within. So I can go back, I guess. Can I take this pink plant? You rip the plant from the ground, roots and all. Cool. It just seemed to be One of the rules of old gaming is that if it doesn't look like it blends in, you can probably take it. Land ho! That's not fair to say. The land hasn't done anything to deserve that kind of moniker. You stand outside the huge Sartan edifice. A wall surrounds it. There are no obvious doors, only the alcove to the south. So we actually have what looks to be a sword, a staff, and a hammer. Recess. It doesn't look like a door. It's more like a wall containing indentations of 3 different shapes. One resembles a hammer, another a sword, and the final one a staff. Dang old game rules about what is visible. Yeah, usually, like in King's Quest, if you needed something, it would stand out like crazy. It was just horrible. Like, this is all pre-painted, and the things I need you to click on need not to be pre-painted, so they would do that after the fact. You stand at the edge of a thick forest, an old hollow tree stump sticks out of the ground. So, in this case, there's nothing I need to take with me, I don't think. The land gets around, I suppose. Yeah. The forest is unnaturally still. There are no sounds of birds or animals. There is no wind. Probably because of how thick the foliage is. How much deeper can I go into this? You start to wander deeper into the forest when something very large, something you thought was a tree, moves threateningly towards you. You stumble backwards to where you started and the motion stops. Okay, let's not go there then. The stump has only one branch and it's rather oddly shaped. It sticks out from the front at a curious angle. Yeah, well, then let's not mess with that. I feel deep regret for calling the land a bad name. I'm sorry. Of course I'm being silly. Eyesight's, or maybe that's because that Bulbasaur. I know that one is Onion Turtle. I like that one though. But I call that one Onion Turtle. Yeah, let's go to the left. Ooh, what do we have here? A strange animal seated on the ground in front of a bush startles at your entrance and leaps into a branch. A tree grows in the middle of a patch of nut-bearing bushes. On a branch, an animal perches, watching you. So, you sift through the pile of shells and finally select one that is to your liking. Thank you. One of the nuts pulls away from its stalk rather easily, leaving behind a hole in the shell where the stalk was attached. Okay. The animal most resembles a cross between a squirrel and a monkey. Under a coat of thin fur, sleek muscles move as it sways back and forth on its branch. You get the impression that it could prove quite formidable if provoked. Despite that, there's nothing threatening about its manner. In fact, it seems to be alternating between wary curiosity and hunger. Its eyes travel back and forth between you to the bushes of nuts. Can I give him this? You toss the nut up to the animal perched on the branch. A lightning-quick claw snatches the nut from the air. The animal tucks it close to its furry body and inserts 2 pointy talons into the hole in the shell. With a crack, the nut breaks open. Even from here, you can smell the explosion of a rich, nutty aroma coming from the exposed nut meat. The animal carefully sniffs the interior of the nut, then, when it appears satisfied, eats the meat in a few quick bites. It discards the shell into a pile of like shells and settles back down on the branch to rest. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take one more of these. The nuts are larger than any you've seen before, about the size of a human head. Groups of them grow from bushes that surround the tree. Each nut is attached to the bush by a thick stalk. This is a goldmine of terrible things that people are likely going to be saying fairly soon. I'm going to go ahead and take one of these, though. Oh, I already took one. The creature scares me. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of cute. Wait. Hey Retro, I'm not a turtle. Squirtle is a turtle. I have to use razor leaf on you now. Well, what are you then? Sora implies dinosaur, but turtle. I could still... Onion turtle's what I call it. Squunky. I like that name. Conquer the squunky squirrel monkey thing. Oh, thing. Speaking of internet memes, regardless of what of that play I saw. Really? Really? Viddy, I am surprised at you. Not disappointed, just surprised. Okay, so I have that. I feel like I probably should just go somewhere else. No, I know I haven't finished my mission, but I should be able to go... Can't I go to the other? How do I go to the other place? Oh, map. There we go. No, wait. Nope, not wait. Gosh, dang it. Go back in here. Can I use the map? It says there's something else I should be able to connect to? Hold on. Okay, so I guess that's the direction that the Citadel's in? Okay. Can't go there. I feel like I should be able to go... Yeah, there's not much else I can do here. What is this? The plant isn't particularly interesting except for its bright pink flowers. I want to be able to go to that other area because I can't... The Citadel doesn't do anything for me, so I want to be able to go here and use the steering wheel. That's how I forgot how to do it. I'm going to go to the Tree City. No, you're fine. I was just teasing with you. I remember 2016 when I got a... good lord, I didn't even remember that. I didn't pay that much attention to that. So I did play Quiplash from Jackbox on another server yesterday. The humor some people have, I swear. Oh, yeah. The ones that Ash can lift with one hand, no problem. Let's go ahead and get out of the ship. And let's take a peek around. This is nice. Oh, there's a clothesline. Can I pull? Can I take? Yeah. You untie the thick clothesline and coil it up as you take it. Yeah, I'm taking things. Now let's go. This is a clear flat area nestled amidst the branches of this giant tree. You see another tree with a narrow but deep drop. I should probably not. Let's open the door. Let's just randomly go into this person's house. They don't need to be here. Why not? The chamber appears natural, as if the wood of the tree grew with the space in mind. That's really neat. You step into the middle of a busy kitchen, but on your arrival, all noise and movement suddenly cease. 3 pairs of eyes lock onto you. 2 elven women halt their conversation, and a child drops her broken doll and simply stares.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
The heavier woman wearing an apron looks you over critically.
I'm here to help you do whatever it is you're doing.
I thought so. Humans only come here when they're looking for a handout or they...
If y'all play Jackbox, I'd love to join if I have time. My wife usually is the one that spearheads that effort, honestly, but we would be happy to have you, certainly. I'll put... what I'll do is I will put... When we do that next, I will put it on my announcements also, just in case anybody wants to get involved. I'd be happy to do that, though.
Sure, I'll give it a try. What do you need me to do?
I'm glad to hear it. I'm so behind just now that I would welcome anyone's help, even from a human refugee. The king has decided to throw a party with his usual 2-hour notice.
This isn't the same king
Let's see if you can
that we were dealing with, though, right? This is a different world.
Want to anything more complicated?
Okay. You edge over to the counter, pick up the lump of dough, and half-heartedly begin to knead it. While you're doing this, the cook resumes her flurry of activity, continuing the conversation with the other woman as if there had been no interruption. She hurries about the room, tending to several tasks at once. At the same time, she not only manages to keep up her end of the running conversation, but the serving girl's side as well.
I'm worried about the children. I don't have a problem with them playing together, but the royal prince has begun to join in. There are human children in that group. You watch. Nothing good can come of that. No offense, you understand.
She glances your way and adds. Which, of course, I'm not human, so that doesn't matter, but I don't need to tell them, because they wouldn't know. So you can see that all of the races are racist, and that's kind of part of the problem, and that's kind of part of what we're learning was the problem with the Sartans and the patrons.
Anyway, I've saved the worst for last. There's a human adult out there. He's talking with the children, putting all sorts of ideas in their heads, ideas about all of the races living together, treating each other as equals. Can you believe it?
If you would have stopped that paragraph at putting all sorts of ideas in their heads, I would have said absolutely that's inappropriate, that human adult needs to go. But the fact that you added exactly what he's trying to push out there now makes me sympathize for him. I do believe that this human adult is my favorite character. I believe it's Zifnab, but we'll see. I'm fairly positive this is where we encounter him, though, on this planet.
And they're like nothing we've ever seen.
Or realm.
In fact, the spells weren't even similar to any of those cast
Yep.
humans. Either this human is the most powerful to come along, or he's a member of a different race entirely. Wouldn't that be exciting?
If he's Zifnab, I'll tell you right now, he's Sartan.
Maybe the child was exaggerating. You know how imaginative they can be.
The serving woman gently interjects.
Of course, that's true. Those children can come up with some wild ideas. Still, it would have been exciting.
The cook looks down at the small girl on the ground. I want to play some more Jackbox in the future. I do kind of want to play talking points from Jackbox 7, though I understand not everyone wants their voice heard. I'm not opposed to my voice being heard. I don't like my face being seen, but my voice being heard is fine. You notice that the small elf child on the floor has been watching you with wide eyes and an unreadable expression. After a moment, she returns to playing with a battered, pathetic doll. She holds the doll above the floor and tries to make it walk around, but the fact that the doll is missing its head and a leg seems to make the experience less enjoyable than it should be. After a few moments, she drops the doll on the floor and sighs dejectedly. I have a wonderful little doll here that I bet you could have, little girl. Can I give that to you? The child looks at the toy in your hand and smiles. She throws aside the broken doll as she jumps up, claps, and runs over to grab the better toy. She turns it around in her hands and laughs happily.
You're nice. I like you. You have to meet my friends. Come on, let's go.
The child grabs your hand and starts to drag you outside. She runs outside and beckons you to follow. Okay. The cook pulls a tray of sweet cakes from the oven. The aroma makes your mouth water. A loud buzzing draws your attention to a small window. You see a nasty-looking insect about the size of your fist flying into the kitchen, also attracted by the sweet smell. The serving maid screams and puts herself as far from the bug as she can. Only the cook manages to remain calm. As the insect hovers over the cake, she pulls out an ugly yellow flower from an apron pocket and crushes it in her hand. She unfolds her fingers and the room is suddenly filled with a horrible odor. The odor makes you feel somewhat queasy, but it seems to have a more substantial effect on the insect, which darts back out the window.
It must be bug season again. Those terrible insects are such a bother. Every time I make something sweet, they show up, seemingly out of nowhere. On one occasion, I was actually stung by one of them. I was in bed for a week.
The serving woman slowly begins to relax.
These petals should do the trick of keeping them away today, but this is my last plant. I'm going to have to get the children to start harvesting the stinkweed again.
Why does the flower drive off the
I'm curious about if that bug sting is naturally that bad, or if you just had an allergy to
By
it.
the smell of stinkweed. Actually, stinkweed isn't all that bad until you crush the petals, but then you'd best be as far away from it as you can get.
She says as she had crushed it in her own hand and is now stirring something edible with that same presumably unwashed hand.
What was that bug?
Their hives appear during every harvest season. The insects that live in them usually leave us alone, unless they are angered, or they smell something sweet. That drives them crazy. I always keep some stinkweed around, just in case.
Where do you find that yellow plant?
I'm not sure. The plant grows wild.
We must send the children to the fields.
To find. I have all the children out searching for it, and since I reward their finds with sweets, the plant is in high demand. Whenever it's discovered in the wild, the children return with as much as they can carry. They practically drool over that patch growing on the nearest tree, but no one can get to it.
I mean, I guess it's a fair trade. If you make it a game where it's like, hey, the first one to find and bring this to me gets a cupcake, I think that's fine, but if you're just working them as laborers...
May I have one of those cakes?
Absolutely not. I'm preparing these cakes for the king's party.
You mean it's going to smell like that in here all day? I think I'm done with this dough, you see? All nice and needed.
Well, you've done a pretty poor job on the dough, but I don't think I'm going to get much better out of you. Leave then. I don't blame you for wanting to get away from the stinkweed.
No, you're nicer than I thought for a racist person or bigoted person. I don't know. The serving girl is too engrossed in the cook's chatter to pay attention to you. Okay. The person that says that you shouldn't.
I don't think you'd ever get here.
Oh, sorry.
Come on, let's go. It's through here.
She wriggles through a clump of bushes to the east. Foliage covers almost every surface. Most of the plants resemble conventional bushes, only the ground is free of them because of the constant traffic over it. You come upon a group of children gathered at the ledge. They're calling to someone below. One smaller child is crying. You stand on a large curving branch that overlooks a sheer drop which extends further than you can see. A young man stands on the ledge below you, looking up. When you glance over the edge, you see a young elf trapped on the lower ledge, trying, without much success, to climb back up.
These are my friends. That doorknob down there is the prince. I guess he finally got up enough courage to go after the golden staff. He's been talking about it long enough. It doesn't look like he made it very far, though.
The small elven girl tugs your shirt sleeve. Excuse me. Well, I did pull a clothesline I could probably use to get you. You lower one end of the clothesline to the struggling prince. He grabs hold of it gratefully, and you haul him up.
Thank you, sir, for coming to my aid. I would have made it out eventually by myself, but your help sped things up quite a bit. I am at your service, sir. Anything I can do for you, I will.
He glances around at the audience of children, puffs himself up, and adds, and he smiles a little sheepishly. Of course, I can't read that because they read the lines quicker, but yeah. Let's ask about the wizard.
Have you met this human wizard who supposedly...
The stream has made me wonder. I vaguely thought about streaming a point-and-click Star Trek game, which obviously features a lot of talking. Can that make for an engaging game stream? Which Star Trek game? Are you talking about 25th Anniversary? Because that game is awesome. I have it on the NES, and I'm going to get it on GOG whenever they go on sale, but that game's awesome. And I think so. I think it can... I mean, I've played KOTOR, which is traditionally considered a bad game for... streaming, and I still think we made it pretty interesting, and I think it did decently well in terms of people watching it, so yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna be honest with this guy.
He stays out of sight most of the time and only shows up when we have scheduled a meeting. He also makes sure to keep out of the way of adults. They'll keep him away from us, he claims. Would you do that? Keep him away from us?
A Final Unity, but also probably 25th Anniversary as a first-timer. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be fun. It's up to you if you want to do it, but it's about... I mean, again, part of the reason that people watch is the engagement. Another part of the reason that people watch is, for mine at least, are... this is what I was told, so take it with a grain of salt, but some people like to watch my stuff to fall asleep to. And I'm okay with that. I like knowing that it's kind of like Bob Ross, right? Maybe some people watch it to watch him paint. Maybe some people watch it to paint with him, and maybe some people watch it to relax them. And if any of those three things are the case, then that's what I want to do. And I think that was the reason that people watched my Oblivion and my KOTOR. And maybe even this one. So I think if it's the same thing, you just make it genuine. And some people do watch it to see you just having fun also. So I think that's all good, in my personal opinion.
Of course not. He sounds harmless enough.
Whew, I'm so glad. I would really like you to meet him. He does the most spectacular tricks. Even when we don't understand half of what he says, he's always entertaining. If you'd like, I can lead you to the meeting place. There's a gathering tonight.
The prince lets out a relieved breath. All right, let's go.
All right, let's go.
Very good. The meeting should be fun, even though I didn't get the staff.
He sighs.
Please follow me.
He wanders off into a shaded grove to the southeast. So that tells me over here. As you stroll into the clearing, you notice the children scurrying around preparing the area. Some gather wood for a fire pit in the center. The remainder relax around the pit, on the ground, or on a log lying nearby. This is another clearing so shaded by overhanging branches that it is much darker than the surrounding area.
He's just upset because his girlfriend is coming and he didn't get the golden staff to impress her.
The prince collapses on a log looking miserable. Others glare at him as they do their work but say nothing. The small girl carrying your doll says the things that she just said. Personally, I watch for the community, can't imagine falling asleep. I think a lot of, again, there are shows, there are pieces that I've done here that I think people find relaxing. And in this case, it's kind of story time, right? In this case, I'm kind of reading you a book. I'm solving puzzles, but I'm also just kind of reading you this book, this point-and-click text adventure with fairly limited animation, right? This is very, very far away from a Halo or a Doom. And so Oblivion's a lot the same way. There is some action, but it's a lot of reading, or KOTOR, it's a lot of reading. And there is some action to it, but I'm reading you something at the end of the day. And I think some people have said they found my voice relaxing, which I think is flattering. I don't think I have a particularly impressive voice, but people find it relaxing, or they find maybe the enjoyment, my genuine enjoyment of the game relaxing, or maybe they just enjoy the game and it being more sedentary in nature. I don't know. This is... You can't attract the attention of any of the children. They're too busy playing their own games. What is this?
Don't worry, it's dead. Not a live bug in it. Lucky for us.
A couple of boys approach the fire pit carrying a cumbersome papery hive between them. They dump it into the hole, and when the hive strikes the ground, the crash causes the others to jump back in surprise. A white disc has been embedded in the ground. The surface is smooth and metallic and glows with magic.
You don't know the half of it. My cousin tried to light one up when live bugs were still using it. You should have seen him afterward. He almost died.
The other boy wipes his hands on his pants and says,
Well, it's better than carting around a bunch of wood. These hives burn better than anything I've ever seen, and they're much lighter. Besides, I've kept my eye on this one for the last week. It's as dead gets.
The two boys return to the bushes looking for twigs. I do have a microphone that would technically be good for that. I have a microphone that so for the ASMR, I believe people do it left ear, right ear. I have a microphone that is has multiple polar patterns. It's the WA14, Warm Audio 14, which I actually quite like. And it does have a figure of 8 pattern on it, which means that the front could be an ear and the back can be an ear. So I technically could do it. I'm not an ASMR type of person, personally. So I listen to little noises that people make when they talk naturally, and I enjoy that, but like tapping on the microphone, great and stuff, I'm not keen on. But if people like it and it's something that would help others relax, I don't have to go back and listen to my own stuff, you know? But if it's something people would like, I would do it. It's an old papery hive. It looks very flammable. Let's just wait then. Let's just wait here for a bit. Time passes. The heap of combustibles grow higher as the children pile on the twigs and dead branches. Let's wait until it's actually on fire then. Time passes. One child sprinkles dried moss around the massive hive as others set down around the pit. There we go. Time passes. A child strikes a piece of flint against a flat rock she holds. The sparks fall into the dried moss and the hive explodes into flame and the children applaud. Oops, I didn't mean to use that. Wait. Time passes. Some of the children make themselves comfortable around the fire. They begin to chatter excitedly about something. With a pop, a hot ember leaps from the fire and lands nearby. A few children giggle at it, but leave it where it lies. So that is likely going to be too hot. The ember is pebble-sized but red hot. Could I use magic on that? Can I use the cool magic on that? Spell cold. You cast the spell on the ember. It sizzles and darkens. Just then, the fire pops out. Another ember flies out right on top of the previous one. Okay. Well, I can't touch it with my hand. Can I use this to scoop it up? Yeah! You scoop up the hot ember with the shell. Perfect. Now can I use the cold spell on this? Or do I need it to be hot? Cold. Especially when we joked about bedtime stories. I'm with Retro on the whole ASMR thing. Honestly, it kind of vaguely unsettles me. Yeah, I don't, again, that's not the idea. If it relaxes some people, I would do it, but The ember, the ember sputters, but it doesn't go, so I guess it needs to be hot. You hear some rustling from the bushes. Immediately the children's chatter stops. All eyes turn towards the sound. A pretty young human woman steps lithely from the branches. She's dressed in hunting leathers, but carries herself regally. A golden sword is strapped to her waist, and a flute is strung around her neck. She utters no words when she sees everyone looking at her, and instead walks to the log and sits down. She attempts to act unperturbed, though it is obvious she is uncomfortable with the attention. As soon as the woman arrived, the elven prince became entranced. His mouth dropped open and his eyes followed her every movement. When she sat down, he seemed torn between wanting to speak with her and wanting to run far, far away. Now he appears to have arrived at a compromise, sitting in place and staring at her while she pretends to ignore him. Okay. A golden sword is going to be probably pretty useless. It did unsettle a little once when I accidentally came across it on Twitch. I left Twitch years ago. Again, everybody has their own tastes. It's just not for me. But if people enjoy it, then I would consider it. But honestly, the way that I think I would consider it, let me go ahead and save. And we will save this one as by the the fire latest. Be helpful if I push the right button. I do think your voice is relaxing, but yeah, ASMR is odd to me. Oh, well, I appreciate that. If I did anything ASMR-esque, the only thing that I can see myself doing that I could get behind is if I did do like a reading like this, like I'm reading a book or I'm reading a game of some sort, and instead of using my shotgun mic, which is what I'm using right now, I use my figure of 8 mic so that I can actually read it into both ears, right, basically. So I can put the mic sideways and I can read it closer to one ear and read it closer to another ear. But that's about as close as I think I could get behind it where I would, enjoy it. Why do so many people struggle to talk to the opposite gender? I think there are a number of reasons, right? Number one is the stakes are high if you're looking for... So it depends, right? Are you superficial or aren't you superficial? If you are superficial, then you're running the risk of... You have someone that you want to be a life partner or partner, and you don't want to run the risk of losing that. And so sometimes the easiest way to not risk is to not gamble. If you're superficial, then you bring the physical nature of it. You're just trying to score, quote unquote. I'm using very, very mild terms. And you don't want to risk that happening. There's either a physical excitement or there is a mental excitement. And in both cases, you don't want to run the risk of compromising those. I think that when you don't have an ulterior motive, be it a quote-unquote noble one or be it a quote-unquote dubious one, I think that's when it's easy to talk to people of the opposite gender. If I go and I want to talk to a woman, I'm married, so I don't have any concern about where that conversation leads. I don't care if they like me or they don't like me, because I'm not trying to get anything out of it except for the conversation itself. But I think a lot of people are more interested in either deeper motives, either dubious or not, right? I think that's why. One of my closest friends is the opposite gender, though quite a few people in high school thought we were a couple. And I'm not about the superficial, as Retro calls it. Yeah, I think that it depends, right? I mean, you can also be completely innocent and want a relationship and run the risk of, if I talk to them, things are going to be bad because I'm going to ruin the chance, Let me talk to her for a minute. Ooh, a flute. At first, you mistake the princess's silver flute for a decoration. Carved dragon wings stretch out from the instrument, as if to suggest that it is capable of taking flight at any second. I can't give it to her, but I could talk to her.
Even though you look to be human, I don't know you, and I don't speak to people I don't know.
Fair enough.
Hello, good sir.
So this princess is the girl you're crazy about, huh?
What about those who are not bi or straight or something? Do they find it hard to talk to the opposite gender at all? Again, I think that has to do with the motivation more than it does have to do with the alignment. So if there's... I don't think it's... I think that if it's a superficial or an ulterior motive, that the answer is probably there is a struggle there. But I would argue if it's not a superficial motive, like you're just wanting to get to know the person and it's just that there's no risk reward except for the conversation itself, I think people would have less of a trouble with it. I have to admit, talking with the woman that is my wife, who is now my wife, my objective at the very beginning was just to be friends and to have a conversation. There wasn't any deeper motivation. But when eventually it was turning out to be a relationship, I got nervous too, because I was like, oh, I really want this to work out. I really enjoy this person and like this person and don't want, because I cared about it wasn't a superficial thing. It was, I cared about that. I cared about her, the way that she felt. And I understand that the way that I talk could be misconveyed or misconstrued. And I was trying to be more careful. And there were a lot of things to consider because the risk was so much higher because I cared so much more. And this is the innocent portion of it. I wasn't interested in anything superficial. It was literally the more that I saw that the relationship was developing, the more deeply that I cared about making sure that the conversations went incredibly well, because I was worried about hurting her in conversation by mistake. And so that made things more difficult. But the initial approach, there was no goal, it was just kind of just a topical level of care. It was hey, this could be a friend. And then it got more nerve-wracking as things go on. My wife still gives me butterflies, if I'm to be completely honest. I'm still very attracted to my wife. I think she has the most beautiful personality and soul and smile. And so I still get nervous talking to her, but I don't get nervous talking to anybody of the opposite gender, because I think that all of those nerves are wrapped up in just being with my wife. And my wife doesn't judge me. I want to make sure I want to make sure I'm taking care of her and talking to her and being good and polite and all of those things, And so I think all of the nerves that would have been wrapped up in talking to someone of the opposite gender, if there was that kind of concern, all of that's wrapped up into making sure that I talk with my wife in that way. That's where I am on it, and that may be silly, but I never have been really nervous about talking with people of the opposite gender unless I needed something. And that's even true with the same gender. If I need something and there's a high risk reward, like even in a business deal, even if it's someone of the same gender, it's like, but I think that's the thing. It's like I don't get nervous of talking to people of the other gender now. But I still get butterflies when I talk with my wife, even though she's my wife and I see her almost every day, most of the time. Except for when I have to travel for work, there's still nerves. I don't think she's gonna go, oh, I'm gonna leave you. I'm not nervous about that. But I married one of my greatest friends, and I also married someone that I'm just ridiculously attracted to inside out. And so it's like, how can you not be a little bit nervous talking to, you look at it and you're like, oh, I'm so lucky to be married to this beautiful person. And then it's like you get a little nervous, you get the butterflies in your stomach. We've been married for years. I still get butterflies in my stomach. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. I can't explain that to you any more deeply because I don't know how to. It's just what it is. But because all of my butterflies are for her, I don't have butterflies when I talk to other people. I just don't care all that much. It's not, if it goes poorly, then it's like I still get to go home to the woman that gives me butterflies, so I'm fine. That's how I feel. It's just me. I don't know. I don't know if that answered the question, but I hope if it did, great. And if it didn't, I apologize. I don't know how to do it any better. I don't know how to explain any better. Retro and his wife has such a wholesome dynamic. Oh well, I mean, yeah, I love her. That's just us. I hope she feels the same way about it, but that's the best way I can describe it. That's the best way I can describe at least my reasoning. Plus, a lady sat next to me on the bus very recently and started talking with me, and I was a bit sick that day. Just happened to talk about deafness because of me and Legend of Zelda. I've not seen her since. Agree. Well, I'll remember that if I ever really have a relationship with someone and probably still get butterflies. Yeah. Writes in notebook, wife, butterflies. It did help. Thank you, Rich. Oh, well, I'm glad. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. So I guess when you care, that's the thing, right? When you care, you're attracted and you care. And again, not superficial, just actual. I get that the superficial element has that too, but just when you care, think about this, right? And let's go superficial versus non-superficial. If superficiality gives you a nervous because it can make you nervous because you might fail this conquest. I'm using terrible words, by the way. But if you run the risk of somebody, you're like, wow, I really am just enamored with this, right? I'm just really enamored with this person. The risk is like, it's the difference between picking up pennies and finding $1 million. It's like the worth and the risk of me losing all of this is just too great for me to want to mess this up. I've got to approach this perfectly, right? If it's a superficial conquest, it's like picking up coins. I can find one anywhere. I could find one just randomly, not looking for it. But $1 million, well, this is something, and it's the easiest way I can do it, you know? So I don't know. Are there butterflies among these trees in the game set? Maybe. What if I marry a butterfly? Well, I mean, it's an interesting relationship. Then anyone who is a butterflyist can just leave. Yeah. In his case, he's just smitten, which I think is great.
So why exactly did you go into that pit?
It's a long story. I was searching for the golden staff. I figured that I wanted it more than anyone who had gone before me. Turns out that I had much more enthusiasm than ability.
Such as is the nature, but you never know until you try.
Staff? What staff?
I guess everyone isn't familiar with the legend. I'll tell it to you. Ages and ages ago, the gods gave 3 items to the races. To the dwarves, they gave a golden hammer. To the humans, they gave a golden sword. They gave us a golden staff. The items were supposed to symbolize the race's roles in a new...
Maybe I'll marry a butterfly effect? Well, that would be hopefully a good one.
That's what
because butterfly effect is the way of measuring chaos theory.
The protectors, hence the sword. We elves were the
kind
scholars, the leaders.
Loosely.
I guess it didn't quite work out that way.
Personally, I like talking to random people I meet. Am I making straight guys uncomfortable when I do? I assume I'm not very attractive. Well, it depends, right? So there's kind of tricky. Number one, yes, you probably are making some straight guys uncomfortable when you talk to them. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but you're saying you're not very attractive. So the odds of you not actually... So residual self-image is skewed, firstly, right? We have to bear in mind that we oftentimes to ourselves are not... comparison is the killer of the mind, is the killer of joy. So if you're comparing yourself to, different other people, right? You're automatically lowering where you actually are, right? Almost everybody that isn't just completely vain is going to believe that they are less attractive than they actually are. The fact of the matter is that there are people out there that are going to find you attractive regardless of whether you do or don't, right? Unless you are just absolutely objectively ugly, malformed, and covered in skin issue, and all the things that that literally you have to consider that humanity is a bell curve. The hyper attractive are on the low end of the right half of the distribution, and the objectively ugly are on the left half. So most likely we fall somewhere inside of the upper curve, if not the apex of average, right? The bell curve isn't the most handsome at the top. It's the average looking, or, moderately attractive to moderately unattractive to pretty well moderate, right? And so the odds are, since we fall inside of that, depending on which direction we fall on that bell curve, we're almost always going to find somebody who is attracted to something about us, whether that be physically or whether that be internally or whether that be both, right? And so the odds are that you may not be making every straight guy uncomfortable when you do that, but you might be making some that actually do find you attractive, despite the fact that you don't. You might be making some of them that do find you attractive a little uncomfortable. Is that a bad thing? No, that's a discomfort because somebody is just someone that they may be attracted to some aspect of, physically attracted to or otherwise, is coming up and talking to them. And then they are now like, I need to make sure that this interaction goes as well as could be expected. So it's definitely possible. In the same way that it might be possible that I do accidentally make some uncomfortable. I'm spoken for, so there's no issue with me, but there might be other people who don't pay attention, and at very first there's this thought of, I don't think I'm particularly attractive either, but to someone I probably am. To my wife I seem to be, which is a huge indicator that I can't be objectively right in the fact that I believe I'm not attractive, because I have a wife who has very, very clearly stated that she finds me very attractive. So there are a whole lot of different numbers moving, and we're trying to basically name a single thing. And it's like, eh. I like talking to random people too, but I'm a bit anxious to talk to almost anyone face-to-face. Similar thing happened at philosophy and or expert. I think that's a byproduct also of COVID, and you may also be more introverted than extroverted. You could be ambiverted, leaning introverted. I'm an introvert, so I have very much a preference of being in my own bubble. But I am comfortable speaking externally. It's not my preference. I actually detest it a lot of times, because I prefer being in my bubble, but at the same time, I have no problem doing so if is needed. And then, of course, in this environment, there is a proxy, which allows me to be a little bit more comfortable with speaking outrightly. But I'm definitely an introvert. I definitely prefer to be in my own little area, and I can understand that. With the butterfly effect till death do you part. Do you take this butterfly effect to be your lawfully wedded spouse till death do you part? Well, that could be preempted by the groom. There's a chaos going on. These effects, I consider myself ambivert, leaning towards... Yeah, that's fair. It's good food for thought. Again, there are a lot of moving factors, too. I don't know what you look like, right? So I'm not assuming that you are or aren't attractive. I'm only assuming, based on math, that you probably fall inside of the middle of the distribution at very... minimum. It's the safest bet, right? Because it's basically 10%, 10%, 80%. It's really more like 5, 90. 5 hyper attractive, 5 hyper unattractive, and then 90% falls somewhere in the middle. So I'm not making assumptions based on that. I'm giving you kind of a mathematical answer, but it's the closest I could do, you know. So please do understand. I know it sounds silly, but that's about as math is. I'm better at math than people. Relationships are interesting and mysterious to me. Romantic friendships, etc. Well, that's the beautiful thing about life, though, right? Is if everything was not mysterious and was figured out, then life would be boring. The only great mystery would be death. And then there would be no reason. If there was no mystery in life, then there only would be mystery in death, which means that as soon as we realize that there was no great mystery, it would be our best thing to pursue death, right? But we shouldn't do that, because things like relationships, romances, and friendships, and business deals, and proxy companionship, and so on and so forth, all these different things, the mystery is kind of what makes things worth it. Problems, in a lot of ways, even that present themselves here or in more technical areas, are kind of what I would consider to be one of the best arguments for living a life. Even though I don't think that there is an objective imperative to that, I do feel like that is one of the greatest, that's one of my greatest compulsions for life, is to find these mysteries and unravel them. I find it fun.
After one of the ancient wars with the humans, my ancestor...
And I think I'm going to probably call my stream here in just a bit.
He cursed the idea of living and working with...
I'm not married to a butterfly effect, but is that a fact or point of view? Probably a point of view, because honestly, being married could be the butterfly effect. Even if you're not married to an objective, to the entire concept of it, you know?
He did it in the heat of anger, and soon regretted it. The staff represented more than the ancient legends. It was also a symbol of leadership. Without it, he chanced losing his power. So my ancestor climbed down into the maw to reclaim the staff. He never returned. Since then, members of the royal family have sought the staff. Every few generations, an elf will climb down into the maw, but not one has ever made it back. We don't even know what's at the bottom.
Relationships are also kind of a mystery for Dr. House. Again, mysteries, I think, are one of the fun... Again, a compulsion towards life, I think a mystery would be one. If not the greatest, right? So...
How could anything be worth risking your life like that?
Naturally, I wanted to regain the staff for my people. My father would be so proud of me. They would write songs about me. I would have done what all of my ancestors failed to do. Don't you think that's enough?
He looks at you a little desperately.
Of course.
Let me make him comfortable.
I'll tell you why. He wants to impress his girlfriend. That human. Isn't that right?
The small elven girl carrying your doll speaks up. She crosses her arms and looks smugly at the prince.
I guess there is someone that I kind of like. And she does happen to be human.
The prince glares at the child and says,
Who is this girl?
She's beautiful. She's a hunter, she's a musician, she's a leader, she's everything I ever wanted. And not only is she human, but she's a princess as well. And she doesn't even know I exist. Now without the staff, I'll never get a chance.
The second compulsion for life is mozzarella sticks. I mean, yeah, some enjoyment obviously there.
How would possessing the staff help you to get this girl?
The humans believe that the items from the gods are symbols of rulership.
His girlfriend, yeah.
Has carried the golden sword.
I mean, feasibly he could have had a boyfriend too, but it's just he happens to like this lady. That's fine.
She has accepted the responsibility of rulership. With it, she has taken.
Can I meet this girlfriend of his? You can meet the person that he would like to be his girlfriend. We did try to talk with her, and she said, "I don't talk to strangers," and we said, "Fair enough, right?" The redheaded woman with the winged flute around her neck.
Won't even look in my direction if I don't have the staff.
That's all there is to it? You get the staff, and it gets you the girl?
Well, not quite. I have to earn her respect, and I'll never get it without the staff. After that, I'm not sure what to do. I think I have to soften her up somehow. Maybe I need something pretty to give her. Even if I
Princess I didn't vote for. Well, it's part of a monarchy, so I don't know if the vote is what counts.
I just don't know the right words. I think if I had something nice to give her and the right words to say, I'd have a chance.
Well, I can give you some of those things.
Let me get this straight. You need the staff, the right
It's not Peach or Zelda. Wait.
Sounds like you've been thinking about this for quite a while.
Forever. I decided that if I couldn't have her, I didn't want to go on living. That's why I tried to get the staff. If I didn't make it, I'd be out of my misery.
You make her sound so, you objectify her a little bit accidentally, I think, though. If I couldn't have her, that's okay.
Enough about this.
Well, I'll give you some stuff that'll help. Let's just get,
Thanks, Prince.
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna give you, I have a book of poetry, I think. Yep. I'm gonna give you this book of poetry.
Thank you very much. I still need the golden staff of rulership. She'll only regard me as an equal if I hold it. But even if I gain her respect with the staff...
Speaking of Peach, I'm actually looking forward to the Mario Galaxy movie. I don't know anything about it. I've not even seen the first one.
Pretty as she is. I'm lucky that you gave me this book of love poems. If I ever get that far, at least I'll know what to say.
No, I mean, it wouldn't be bad to find one that you find particularly applicable. And here are some really pretty pink flowers you can have.
I can't see how this would help me woo the princess. Thank you anyway, though.
Oh, you're not going to give her... What? Flowers? You don't know how flowers could help you as a gesture? That you have a book of poems, you figured out how you were going to do that, but you couldn't think about giving her pretty flowers, huh? Okay, well. You stand on a large curving branch that overlooks a sheer drop which extends further than you can see. I think what I'm going to do... Let me go back here. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it here, because we have more work to do. She doesn't want to talk to me just yet. He likes me, but there's not much else I can do. He doesn't know how the pink plant is going to help him. I think pretty flowers are nice, but what do I know? So let's save the game. I'll just save it as by the fire since I'm still there. I would like to overwrite it. And I think I'm going to go ahead and move us over. I'm going to move us to the wizard real quick, so that I can quit the game, and we'll put on some music and such. I have to make some changes here for a second. Boop. Just like that, and we will turn the music back on. Oh, it would help if I clicked the right button, but instead I didn't. So give me just 1 second. There we go. Now let's try this. Give it like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds. There we go. Not too bad. Yay! Not too bad. I think I accidentally opened a wrong program. I did. Let's close that. Okay, there we go. Not too bad. Let's move it over to here. Like that. Objectifying her. Yeah, saying I can't have her and I want her and this and that. I would like to, her sounding more and more like an object, right? And less like a person. That's all I mean. Be with her would be a better, again, I'm not going to nitpick terribly much, but it's a little bit, right? Can't be with her. That would be a little bit better. Have her makes her seem like an object to add to a collection. So, the wizard's still stuck on that book. The princess doesn't like pink flowers. I don't think maybe the prince just doesn't understand that's giving flowers is a nice way to do things. Thanks for the stream as always. Thank you for being here as always. It's always wonderful to get to speak with you. Cheers for the stream. Legends say he'll finish it one day. Have a good one, everyone. I like to break it up, little bits and pieces. Most of these are just kind of about talking, and in this case, again, it's a very laid back, just read through it. It's kind of almost like us going through a book together with some pictures in it, which I like a lot. Legends also say that Ash can lift up flowers on one hand. Yeah, only one hand. That's true. He can. I've seen him do it. I haven't actually, but... Legend asks, when and why did Ash leave the live chat? I'm sure when things kind of were buffering there, he probably fell off the thing, and that's fine. It's also late there. It's about 1:15 in the morning over there, so. Why do I have all these questions again? Because you're a curious individual, and that's perfectly okay. Why do I have a question about why I have all these questions again? Because you're a metacognitive person, and that's also good. Metacognition is one of the most important things that you can have. Not only thinking about why you think things and what you're thinking, but also thinking about how and what and why you reacted in the way you did. So, for example, a metacognitive person isn't just thinking about what they thought about. They're now thinking about if something like stoked your ire, you're sitting there going, well, why did I feel so angry about that? Why did I react instead of think, Things like that. So be metacognitive. If you react, you react, but then go back and think about why did I react that way, and then reverse engineer it. Think about becoming a better you by observing what you are. Metacognition, I think, was an Undertale character. There was a character that was like, I cannot remember the name of it. It wasn't Metaton, was it? It was the robot dancey thing. I cannot remember. I haven't played that in a minute, but yeah, something like that. Metacognition is thinking about why you thought a particular thought. If you got angry randomly for something happening, going back and thinking, wait, why did that make me angry? That's metacognition, and that's one of the best things we can do. Instead of doubling down on that we thought something and that's a part of our fundamental identity, it's a really good idea to go, yeah, Metaton, okay, that's a decent memory. I've not played that game in probably almost 10 years. But anyway, it's thinking about why you think about something. So instead of saying, I think this, therefore anybody that attacks this is attacking me, it says, I think this, and somebody then attacks it, and you say, okay, well, wait a minute, does that make me angry, or does that actually attack the belief? And do I have a good counter to it, or is it something that I really should consider changing, right? So why did them saying this make me angry? And then maybe I investigate why that anger happened and try to work on that, things like that. So yeah, audit yourself constantly. Don't do it to the point of where you're stressed, but do it to the point of where you're like, hey, you know what? Do I think this or feel this genuinely, or was this a knee-jerk reaction that I should probably rid myself of? Those types of things. Anyway, thank you all for being here. I really do want to say thank you for staying, having a conversation. Copyright, Maki, Vidi, and Ash. It's always a pleasure to get to talk with you. Always a pleasure to get to play games with you and share these. Again, as I said in my description, this game is absolutely free. It's super fun, and it doesn't require a super impressive computer. So if you have a laptop or something that basically runs like or about something from 1994 or newer, you should be able to play this game with absolutely no hiccups. I cannot foresee you having any hiccups in it. And who knows? I'm doing this kind of slowly. I haven't played this in a while. But if you're interested in playing it, click the link in my thing. I don't get anything for it. It's free, right? So I don't get any reference fee or anything like that. It's just about sharing a game that's fun and free with everybody. And I hope you guys will enjoy it. Or I should say, I hope you all enjoy it. I know not everybody in the chat is a guy. But yeah, I would, I want to be able to share that with you, so you can add it to your collection. But yeah, I never left. Well, welcome back then, Ash. Or, well, I can't say welcome back if you never left. Welcome in again. Me welcoming, perhaps in redundancy. He's still here. But yeah, anyway, thank you all, Ash, Vidi, Copyright, and Maki. Thank you so much. We will see you all next time. I'm going to let you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, a wonderful rest of your week, and a wonderful start to your week, Vidi. And we'll see you guys all next time. Thanks.